Okay, let's get started. Jody, let me know. Yes. Good, good evening and welcome to General Council for November 22nd, 2025. Let's go to number one, attendance roll call. Go ahead, Kiri.
Carrie Bombury.
Audrey Paulus Monbury.
Dale Momberry. Greg Fraser.
Hazel Johnson.
Melba Thomas.
Go ahead online.
Amos Key Jr. online. Amos Key Jr. Swagwego. Channel.
Helen Miller online in Toronto.
Cynthia, you're on mute if you're saying you're online. We also have Councillor Cynthia Jameson. Okay, let's go to number two, identification of media. See any? Let's go to number three. Let us take a moment of silence to honor those community members that we have recently lost. Let's take a moment. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. To adopt General Council agenda for November 25, 2025. Any additions or deletions? Grace got one addition.
Tourism Award.
Oh, tourism award. Greg. With that addition, can I have a mover? Moved by Audrey, second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number five, adoption of general council minutes of October 28, 2025. Is there a mover to adopt those minutes? Moved by Melba, second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number six, delegations and presentations. Our first delegation is Grand Erie Education Service Agreement Report. Come on up. Can you use the mic so people can hear you? There you go. Yeah. Oh, can you push the button?
It's
There you
red.
go. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, they can hear
All
you.
right, council, ladies and gentlemen, we're here again to present the Education Services Agreement for the last school year, 24-25. And with me tonight is Julie White, who is our new superintendent, and she'll introduce herself in a bit. And Stacy Hill, who is our new education leader for Indigenous education, Haudenosaunee education in our community. And you all know me. And we have some people coming in. They're stuck in other meetings, so they'll be along.
Okay, so before you introduce yourselves, thank you for coming. And you have a half hour. So 25 minutes for your presentation and 5 minutes for your question. Okay, so the floor is yours. You can introduce yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have a presentation to project when it's available. I'm Julie White. I'm Superintendent of Education with the Grand Erie District School Board and recently was assigned to support the Indigenous Education portfolio. So I've been working hard to learn lots in the first few months of the role and excited to be here this evening to bring you this report. Just a little bit about myself. I've been born and raised in Haldimand County, in and around the Hagersville area. I have been a student myself in Grand Erie and then spent my career serving in the district. And my parents owned a local business in Hagersville and played sports in the community. So I feel like I have some awareness of your community, but still looking forward to making more connections and learning more. Thanks.
Sego Silguego de Guanihezo Yungat, Swaganyata Niwagita loaded on a Ganyake Haga Niwa Kohun Jodo, Six Nations Nidawagena, Dono Sego, Gonto Tagidilo. So my Hawaii name is Deko Wanihezo and my English name is Stacy Hill. I'm from the Mohawk clan of the Turtle clan of the Mohawk Nation, and I'm from here at Six Nations, and I still live here. Only took a couple of years off the territory to go to university, so I returned to Grand Erie in the spring as the acting Six Nations advisor, and then moved into the role as system leader. So that's what I'm here today as.
Thanks. We can have the next slide. So just as part of our welcome and introductions, we do have a slide there that does outline members of the team that are supported through the Education Service Agreement. And as Stacy shared, she was the Six Nations advisor acting last year for the good duration of this report. We've had Tanya Thomas Gibson in the role for a few months this year, and then Danielle Van Every will be returning shortly. So Stacy's here to support the presentation tonight. So copies of the report have been provided. So I'd like to just start with an executive summary. The report contains the work that was performed over the course of the 24-25 school year. Is specifically related to the progress of students and work of the team that emerges from the Education Service Agreement, which is between Grand Erie and Indigenous Services Canada. So through this presentation, I'm going to share information as outlined on the slide related to connections to our multi-year strategic plan, staffing and student supports, of course, student achievement data, transition planning, highlight a few activities and programs and initiatives, and then a summary of some of our next steps as we headed into this school year. The executive summary is on page 2 to 4 of the report for those that have it. So throughout the 24-25 school year, Grand Erie worked to ensure that there were supports put in place that align with our annual learning and operating plan, with learning, well-being, and belonging as the collective priorities. Our district focus was deepening our commitment to reconciliation and improve education outcomes for all students. You can see some of the finer strategies that fall within our annual learning and operating plan on the slide. Students or Education Service Agreement staff, along with Indigenous education team, work directly with students in schools to provide supports and monitor progress of Six Nations students. Shortly in the presentation, I'll share student achievement data with you and outline on this slide, as I said, are the strategies that we focused on through the past school year. That's okay. So there's several staff roles that directly support Six Nations students as outlined in the Education Service Agreement that I think are important to highlight. This is our Six Nations advisor, whose role is to support programs and services affecting Six Nations students and ensure that Haudenosaunee values and traditions are included throughout initiatives in Grand Erie. Other primary responsibilities include coordination of the Six Nations Advisory Council and oversight of all planning activities for student transitions from elementary to secondary school. We have education counselors. There's 3 in total that provide supplementary counseling and educational planning support for Six Nations students enrolled at McKinnon Park, Hagersville Secondary, Brantford Collegiate Institute, and Pauline Johnson. We have a community liaison worker who provides community services to Six Nations students and to support re-engagement through the attendance monitoring and strategies that they support. And special services provided under the service agreement include 9 educational assistants, which are provided to support students in relation to their special education needs. And the report does outline where these individuals were located for the 24-25 school year. Additionally, the Indigenous Education Team includes additional staff supports that work closely with the Education Service Agreement staff, which include cultural mentors and grad coaches, teacher consultants, system leader, and child and youth worker. So the full report provides data for students from 6 nations of the Grand River, and that includes enrollment, attendance, suspension, secondary school credit accumulation by grade, EQAO, and IEP data. I'll be drawing your attention to some of these outcomes in the next several slides. For the 24-25 school year, there were a total of 469 Six Nations students as part of the Education Service Agreement. On the slide, you can see that that's broken down by grade. And I would also like to emphasize that, or just point out that the grade 12 group is larger because it does include students that might have returned for a 5th year at high school. Enrollment of Six Nations students by school is found on page 6 of the report. Enrollment was highest at McKinnon Park, followed next by Hagersville Secondary and Brantford Collegiate. Page 8 of the report shares credit accumulation by grade. So credit accumulation means the number of credits that students have achieved in relation to whether they are on track to graduation. And that's referred to in the number of credits that they have. So you can see on the slide that by the end of grade 9, students should have 8 credits. And then by the end of grade 10, 16 or more credits, and so forth. You can see that each grade indicates an increase in the percentage of students who are on track to graduate from the prior year. So as an example, in grade 9, in 23-24, 33% of students were on track, and our data from this past year notes that 59% of students were on track. The same pattern follows for each of the following grades. In grade 10, we've seen a 41% increase to 52%. In grade 11, 41 to 66, and in grade 12, 59 to 60%. You can look at these numbers as well to track some cohorts. So in grade 10, the 41% had increased in grade 11 to 66%, which would be the same cohort of students. We continue to know our learners and get to know our learners and monitor student progress closely so that staff can be responsive to students. Large component of the work of our Six Nations education counselors in collaboration with school staff and our graduation coaches. On page 7 of the report, it shares aggregated attendance data for the 24-25 school year. Aggregated just means that the data is reflective of an average number of days that students were absent in grade 9 to 12 and not individual student results. The data shows both full day and partial day absent averages for both Grand Erie students and for students in Six Nations. Absences were not part of the student data shared in previous reports. However, we know that research clearly shows that academic success in schools is directly related to student attendance, and Grand Erie did launch an attendance strategy during the 24-25 school year. So attendance monitoring has been supported by our Six Nations counselors and our community liaison worker. Of course, on the ground, graduation coaches, although not part of the Education Service Agreement, are working closely to get students to class and to support any early interventions. A couple of additional data points for students. EQAO scores, unfortunately, were not released yet, so we do not have current year data at this time, which is why it was not included in the report. I think it's also important to note that 33% of students from Six Nations have an individual education plan. So an individual education plan is one that outlines a student's learning profile, both their strengths and needs, and the accommodations and supports that they require to assist them to fully engage in their learning. So I think that's all for the data at this point. I'm going to turn it now over to System Leader Stacey Hill to share some additional updates with you.
So transition support is very important to ensure that students are able to move from grade 8 on territory to Grand Area School in grade 9. We have a very robust transition plan for those students. The Six Nations Advisor works really closely with the Grand Area transition team as well as the Six Nations Special Ed Advisor and Student Transition Teacher, Sandra Graham. Our goals for the transition activities, which start in grade 7, are for grade 7, like to explore options and tour the schools. And then with grade 8, we like to assist them to be able to make good choices when they're planning their first courses and registering to grade 9, as well as helping them to build the confidence and comfort so that grade 9 transition will be more successful. And then we're working to improve or to add more activities for the grade 9 students in the future. Many of the transition activities and supports provided are to assist the students and families in making their decision and easing the transition. We really stress the importance of choosing a school that's the right fit for the students' interests and their what they're looking for to feel comfortable and be successful. Other transition events, or some of the transition events that we do, are jointly planning placements and supports in conjunction with Six Nations staff for those students that have high special education needs. I mentioned the tours that we do in grade 7. Those are very well received. We have grade 8 days, transition meetings specifically for students who are going to need a little extra help transitioning into grade 9. And we have numerous information events, both in Grand Erie as a whole, in the districts surrounding Six Nations, and on territory as well. And a couple of the Grand Area transition teachers also support Six Nations students in learning how to use My Blueprint, which is a tool for career and pathway planning that's used both at Six Nations and in the Grand Area District School Board, and it's also how they choose their courses for each of the years. We work collaboratively with Six Nations intermediate teachers and students on orientation activities available on My Blueprint Education, like I said, in the career planning website. Let's see. We also have registration support days, so that's to assist families to be able to fill out all of the paperwork that's required when registering. And we have someone who comes and actually sits at JC Hill in the community and is available for parents to drop in. And they also go to LSK too, and our Six Nations families are welcome to drop by on that date that we're at LSK as well. What am I missing? Oh, and finally, at the beginning of the school year, high schools host a grade 9 barbecue the week prior to school starting, and the Six Nations Education Services Agreement staff are on site at their designated schools to make connections with the students. Next slide. We also have a few community-based education programs, so programs that are under Grand Erie umbrella but located on the territory. Nations and New Start provide alternative learning programs and support for secondary students from Six Nations, Mississaugas of the Credit, and surrounding area. It serves secondary students who prefer a smaller, more flexible learning environment, and because of some renovations that were in the location on territory, they're temporarily located at Hagersville Secondary School. Grand Area also offers 2 other programs that are specific to Indigenous students. Lediwe and Detas, which means they are learning, provides a therapeutic counseling and services, while a Grand Area teacher provides individual academic programming. So the counseling and services are provided by Gunakusha Family Assault Support Services. And there's also Ohahio, which provides services and support to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit youth who are engaged in some capacity with the youth justice system. Okay. Finally, the next slide. Oh, I think we missed the languages slide. There we go. Okay, so Cayuga and Mohawk were both offered this past school year in person and online. Both Cayuga and Mohawk language classes have had a slight increase in enrollment, as you can see on the slide, for the 2024-25 school year. Additional courses that allow students to see themselves in their learning include the continuation of the grade 11 English course, Understanding Contemporary First Nations, Métis, and Inuit Voices. And there is also a health and wellness specialist high skills major at McKinnon Park with a focus on lacrosse. Additionally, we have a land-based learning course bundle at Hagersville Secondary School, which we're continuing to develop. Yeah. Thank you. Good. Next slide. Back to Superintendent White.
Thank you. So if we move forward with just some of our next steps, our goal continues in the district to be deepening our system commitment to reconciliation and improve education outcomes for all students in relation to the Education Service Agreement and Six Nations students. The annual learning and operating plans outlines how we will achieve this goal, and those priorities still remain the same year over year, just refining them in more detail. So just to outline some of the things that will continue, professional development opportunities for staff. I think it's also important to note that we do provide a professional development guide to our schools in Six Nations that they're able to attend and participate alongside Grand Erie staff. We have speaker series with the Indigenous community members. Teacher requests come in regularly for community support that our counselors assist with. We do have a professional learning environment for staff, which the team supports to build the resources in. Our student leadership initiative, which includes the United Indigenous Student Council, Indigenous Student Associations at individual schools, and our student trustee. We have our Six Nations Advisory Committee, as well as Indigenous Education Advisory Committee. Course and program offerings for students reflective of language and culture and student need, as Stacy outlined, and transition planning will continue. This year, we've introduced a more targeted focus on what in-year transitions look like. So once students are getting into grade 10, 11, and 12, what can those transitions to support them to post-secondary or to the workplace look like? Additional initiatives, further development of programs, as Stacy pointed out, our land-based course bundle and the specialist high skills major. Learning opportunities for staff through the Woodland Cultural Center, Her Majesty's Royal Chapel of the Mohawks, the former Mohawk Institute, which I missed on the slide, since we booked that through the Woodland Cultural Center, and Haudenosaunee Lacrosse. And regular intentional monitoring of student attendance and progress towards credit accumulation and graduation is our priority this year. And I just want to point out as a reminder that we continue to host an annual meeting that provides an opportunity for families and community members of Six Nations to receive this annual report and provide with feedback and input. So on behalf of Grand Erie, I would just like to thank you for this opportunity to share this year's the report for the 24-25 school year. We know that the success of every student within Grand Erie requires community connection and support, and so our collaborative efforts in this are very much appreciated. So we're happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Is there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Audrey.
First of all, welcome and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. One is on attendance. When you find an attendance problem with one of our students, what steps do you take to help them succeed?
Sure, there could be multiple entry points to supporting attendance. So there's a variety of individuals. It usually starts with the classroom teacher, noticing that the student has maybe not been attending. That might be a reach out to guidance. It could be to the Six Nations education counselor most likely, or the grad coach if there is one located in the school. So just that early intervention is really important. If the attendance continues to be a concern, again, those individuals would continue to be involved. I know that through school processes, they do host in-school team meetings, which is an opportunity to bring a network of staff together to really talk about what it is that might be getting in the way of that student's attendance to be able to provide support. I would expect that communication with home would be really important as well as a piece of that. And then we do have the community liaison worker that does do very direct reach outs to family and connections with students to support attendance.
Okay, a couple other ones, and I don't know if they're director over there who wants to take this next one. But the EQAO reports, the minister says, is coming out this week. So basically, when will we be getting access to that information rolled up with the report we have here? And also, can you give us a general overview of the direction that the Ministry of Education is headed to with Paul Calandra and what he's trying to do with trustees and education, and how it may in fact impact Six Nations and our trustee? Yes, Director.
This is Dr. Joanna Roberto, the Director of Education. She's all our boss.
Only on some days. Well, thank you very much. That's a pretty loaded question. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to provide some insight. Historically, EQAO has come out in October of every year. Usually school boards get a first glimpse of the data in an embargoed status late August to about mid-September. We have a chance to clean up the data, look at it, make sure it's accurate, and report any, anomalies that may appear through the assessment. And then we get a fairly detailed report, both from a district level and then one for each school. And then obviously to the individual student, which is confidential to those students who are participating. One of the pieces this year that the minister has clearly indicated is that, sometimes you have a very slow movement, 2 to 5% statistically from a research standpoint, in moving things. Math, if you haven't paid attention to it across the province, has been a very, heavy topic for us. Across the province, we're not reaching provincial average. In many districts. So we're unpacking a lot of that. I've had the opportunity to work on the Provincial EQAO Modernization Committee for about 6 years. And I think we have to keep a couple of things in mind. It has changed over time. There is a dynamic aspect to it where it's been modernized from a technology aspect. But you have to always also think about the fact that you've got to be on the technology all the time, not just for the assessment. So there's two aspects of it, teaching the curriculum and understanding the platform in which it's delivered. And so this year, the minister has made it very clear that he needs to get a very in-depth handle of the assessment. So he's made that announcement that he is solely responsible for the delay. And he wants to make sure, I was with him and some of our colleagues last week, he really wants to make sure that it just doesn't become, a one-time piece, because it already is lagging data, right? Those kids are now either in grade 4, they're in grade 7, or they're in grade 10. So you've got to make the data relevant. And so he wants not only to roll it out in terms of understanding what our results are, but also to provide school districts in-depth analysis of where we need to be going, and in particular in the math. And I suspect that the literacy, because we had a pendulum swing to math, may be the next area. As far as the provincial movement from the minister, if we've been following the news, Bill 33 has been tabled. It has been known that he has taken over some school districts in the province. He is looking at the structure of the boards of trustees, but has not made any commitment around what that actually will look like at this point in time. So, I can't speak on his behalf, but I do know that he has met from a public school institution, meaning there's 32 public schools across the province of the 72 school boards that are in the province. And he has met with the Indigenous Trustees Council. He understands the work. He understands, I've had personal conversations with him. He understands the working relationship that we have with Six Nations,
and our work with our trustee, and the fact that we are here of service to your students. So I do know that he clearly understands that as he moves forward, but we'll have to wait to see. And I don't suspect that there'll be an announcement on that until early March.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Joanna. I'm on the board with them for the Six Nations Advisory Council. So I do work closely with them and then try to share. And Claudian is our trusted trustee from Six Nations and has been working diligently to help our students out. And it's nice to see you back, Stacy. Wonderful. Your language is coming along nicely. And this is my second time meeting you. It's
Yes.
wonderful to meet you, Julie. So
Thank you.
welcome and thank you.
Okay, we got a couple more minutes. Linda, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I was shocked, but not really, I guess, on the 33% of the IEPs. Can you give us an indication of what grade levels they're at? Like, is it -1, -2?
I wouldn't have that information here today. I'd have to go in and look more specifically at individual student IEPs. I know that in the report, it does talk about students who are on what we call an IEP that has an identification versus IEPs that are not formally identified through what we call an IPRC process. So just in my experience, oftentimes students that are not necessarily identified through IPRC process, it focuses a lot more on the accommodations and supports. But that's not always the case. But no, I can't speak to exactly how many would be on modified programming versus just accommodated off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I can just quickly add to that. I think when you look at is it 400, how many students are 469? And I think approximately at 33, is it 33%?
Yeah.
So approximately it could be a range of like 40 per grade, 35 students. But again, as Superintendent White indicated, you've got to really break the number down. So could be coming in from grade 8 into grade 9 with an IEP. They could have a formal identification, or they could be on an accommodated plan. And the accommodated plan could be what we also call differentiated learning. So these strategies could vary and very common around how we are actually supporting each individual student. So it could be a strategy that is an accommodation around a workplace, like a quiet space, versus that would be an accommodated one versus a modified. And the modified would be a modification within grade. So maybe there's certain expectations that we're working on versus just strictly you're modified and you're 2 grades behind. It could be within their grade curriculum. And so that could be the other aspect of it. And typically, I'm not sure how we would work it here, but it could be typically on an IEP in and around the end of grade 3 or grade 4, so grade 4 and forward. And then sometimes they come off. So it depends on the accommodation versus the modification.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Oh, yeah, go ahead. And then we'll wrap it up.
Joanna and I have a couple things we want to share with you as we finish up. I want to say that 27 years ago, when I first came to the board, we had 1 employee. And that was the position of what Stacy had been in for a bit, the advisor. 1 employee. Now we have 17 First Nations people employed to help our students. And you see the list of them who are under the Education Services Agreement, but the rest of them are funded through the Grand Erie. So the other thing I want to say is that I've been working with the Indigenous Trustees Council of the Ontario Public School Boards Association, and virtually no community, no First Nation community in the province has anything like the report that we bring to this council. We're pleased to bring it to you because you need to know. And maybe we need to provide more information as time goes by, but we'll see how that goes. Joanna and I have some things, we want to pass those out, okay? And we thoroughly invite you to come to the annual meeting on Thursday. Stacy, pardon me? Free meals, she said, food, come on along. Stacy will be looking after that, and so you can give us a 1-minute update.
Oh, it's Thursday evening from 5 till 7, and as I mentioned, there'll be a free meal. Superintendent White will be doing a report with myself as well again, and we'll be engaging the participants in some feedback opportunities as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming in and presenting tonight. Oh, yeah.
It's at the community hall, so just around the corner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity.
Yes. Okay, the recommendation, the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council accept the Grand Erie Education Service Agreement Report as information. Moved by Audrey, seconder. Second by Melba. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Okay, let's go to the delegation number 2. Jeff Thomas, First Nations Cable. Yeah. Okay, good evening. Hi. So again, if you just want to introduce yourselves, and then the floor is yours. And we have you have 20 minutes or 25 minutes, and then 5 minutes for question. Okay. Let's push the button. Sorry. There you
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Jeff Thomas, owner and First Nations Cable. We're in the middle of a fiber optic project, which should be completed at the end of this year. We solicited UBF fund, and they helped us build this project. We'll get into the map that we gave you. So we're probably about 80% done with our project. There's roughly about 15-20% of pipe that still has to be put into the ground. 6th line, 7th line, small piece on Onondaga Road, Cuga Road between 6th and 7th, and Oneida. And then a small part up along 54 that goes through Pauline Johnson's over to Painter Road. So that's what's left. It has to be plowed yet. Probably about 3/4 of that has fiber in there that's being spliced as we speak. The service wires, we've gotten probably about 700 service wires in the ground. Our biggest problem with that is getting permission to go on people's property. A lot of the potential customers are band members. One of the things that we're finding is that, well, it's the Indian way, I guess, is nobody's filling these forms out. So last minute, everybody's coming at us now. They want us to do all this. If we don't do it and we don't claim it through the UBF, what's going to happen is they're looking at anywhere from a $500 to $1,200 install. This is free right now. And it's critical. We've been knocking on doors, we've been advertising, we've been leaving information packages, our websites, we've been doing everything. And still nobody's, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but probably about 50% of the band membership isn't responding to it.
How long is that good till? Like
Well,
that
we
people,
got an extension till March.
so the community members can fill out those forms till March?
Yes.
Yes?
And
Oh.
what's gonna happen at that point, if we have to go back after that, then it's gonna be at your own expense, cause then we can't claim it.
I got a couple questions. Go ahead, Audrey, then Cynthia.
Me again, Jeff. Advertising, I'd like to see more advertising in the papers, both local papers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see something in everybody's mailbox, because some people don't get out, some people don't have technology, some people can't drive. So we're gonna try and hit them as much as we possibly can. So would you do that, please? And
We are
Trying to-
putting flyers out in the mailboxes.
both papers, like on every couple of
Not
months?
the papers, we started with the papers, but we didn't get much response from that. We've been actually knocking on doors. So anywhere we're working in an area, we'll go and knock on a door.
Well, try the papers too, because people do read the papers. And then you got something to refer back to if they forget what your address is or what your email is, and then your site.
Well, we leave an information package right on their door.
I don't have one yet.
Okay, well, you already filled out your form.
No, I haven't.
You already gave us permission to go in there, so.
Soon though. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi, good evening. Jeff, when you were here last, or to council last, I think maybe September, and you were advising everyone to fill those forms out. I think that week I had got one in my mailbox and I filled it out and I took it down to your office building there.
Yes.
And I asked the lady, I think it was a Thursday or something, when did she think they might get to hook in it, bring it from the road to my house? I'm on First Line between Bateman and Mohawk. And she said, oh, we're going to be there probably Monday, this coming Tuesday or Wednesday. So I made sure I went and got my grass cut, and I said, and I got a invisible fence for the dogs and got a spray thing and marked it so they'll know, but no one has come yet. So I was getting a little bit worried.
I'll let our receptionist know. I'm sure there's probably a few that's been overlooked as well, I would think. But, you know, overall, that's kind of the procedure, so we'll make sure somebody gets up there.
Okay, thanks. I just didn't know if other people were not positioned, or like, again, I don't know what you do on certain roads at different times, or everything's all done at once. I wasn't really sure. I just know a friend that lives over on Seneca. They got theirs like right up to the house and everything, and I know it was well after I put in my form. It was when you were there, so I thought, gee, it should have been done by now.
You should have called the office, but you must have got overlooked, or I don't know. I don't know what to say there, but we'll make sure it gets done.
Okay.
Okay, I have Carrie, Dale, Dean, then Hazel. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, Jeff, are you gonna be able to put that conduit in the ground if there's frost in there?
To a
Like, would
certain
you-
extent. Let Troy talk to it. He's
Yeah,
a contractor.
depending on how much it drives down to the ground, but the temperatures we've had now, I don't see any issues with, probably not until January, till if there's enough frost there, but we can still put in probably 6 to 8 inches if there's frost there. That's usually not an issue. We don't like to do it as much with the frost because it then heaves it up and makes a little more restoration, but the frost doesn't slow us down that much, right?
Yeah, on 7th Line, the gravel part of that road, the gravel, have you decided where you're going to put the, because that was your question last time you were here. You weren't too sure where you're gonna put the fiber line in the,
Yeah, this is private line. Well, one of the things that we had talked about is, cause they were talking about widening the road there, we were talking to, Public Works. They said they had a project to widen the road a little bit. So we were gonna go back into the edge of the well, I know the property line's right at the edge of the road, but we were gonna cheat in and along. We've been knocking on doors, talking to people, so hopefully that'll be good enough to allow us to plow in away from the ditch, cause they're gonna dig that all back out. They have to, there's no ditches along there anyway, so.
Another one?
so your extension to the end of March, is that basically to complete everything that's outstanding right now?
Yes, it's mainly for the service wires, the bury up to the homes. Because, we only bury that 8 inches deep, so it doesn't take much for us to shut that down, so. But we can still hook up people and just lay it on the ground, go back in the spring and plow them in, so that's what the game plan is. But we're gonna keep going as long as we got permission and just keep plugging away until we get them all done eventually, so.
Okay, go ahead, Dale.
How you doing, Jeff? So the obligation under your contract is to get it from the road just to the edge of the house, right? Not in the house, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole different project or a different
Right.
cost factor to go from outside to inside.
Yes, the subsidies only go to the side of the house.
And that's what's free. And so after that, you're saying it's gonna cost anywhere from 500 to 1,200?
No, that's if we have to go back and bury wire into the house from the road back into,
Yeah,
the
that-
premise, yeah.
That's what I mean, that cost right now is free, and if they
Yes.
don't meet that deadline or do it before the deadline, then it's gonna have a cost factor if they wanna have
Yes,
fiber
if they
into their
wanna
house
hook
that
it
have
up
that
after,
service.
after the fact, yes.
Okay, cause I know people watch online and listening, so just to, I guess, educate them a little bit in regards to the service you're providing and what's available and at no cost right now, but after that, it's
And
gonna
if they
cost.
can get that paper in, even if we can't get it buried this year, at least the paper will be there, so we can commit to that. It's a fact that if, they don't respond at all, you know, and there's a lot of elders that aren't taking the service. And we're trying to tell them, you don't have to take the service, just let us bury it to the side of your house. You know, down the road, if you want the service, that's fine. But if we have to bury a line in, then you're looking at a major expense that you wouldn't have, under these circumstances.
And again, this is till March
Yes,
2026,
yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, go ahead, Dean, then I have Hazel.
Thanks, Jeff, for coming in and the update. I appreciate it. I just want to ask, when you're laying down the fiber line throughout the community here, are you just going along the road allowance, or is there certain circumstances where you have to get onto CP land? And are you asking the owners for their permission to bury in there?
Yeah, we are, but most of our main fiber is out in the easement. Any kind of fibers that are going into private property, we're dealing with the customers themselves directly.
And what if on certain lands where they don't have a fiber hookup, or you're not dealing with them, but it may still be on their land? Like, would they end up contacting you on where the placement of that is?
Yeah, I don't believe that's the case, so we've been staying pretty close to the easement and the road, so.
Perfect. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
That's one headache we don't need.
Go ahead, Hazel.
I was just gonna suggest that you leave papers out here at the desk so people coming in can have access to them right away. And I was lucky to be outside when they were putting the fiber by our house, and a guy came up and asked me if I wanted to fill it out, and I filled it out right there.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's
the
a good
next thing
idea.
I wanted to know is, once the fiber gets up to your house, that's free up until March if you fill those papers out, right?
right, yes.
After that, when you hook up to that, do you get a dish with it?
No, there's what they call a OLT. It's just like a router, wireless router
Okay.
that goes in the house. You have a choice. You can be wireless throughout your house, or you can also run a cable. We recommend for the TVs, especially like the big screen TVs, that you run a hard line from the box to that screen because of the design of the TV. You get a lot of breakups, the pixels themselves come out and all that. So to avoid that, what we recommend is hardlining it to that.
And how much will that cost?
It's all part of the install part. It's like $75 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
The biggest cost will be the box, that's all. And
Okay.
that's,
Sherry Lynn, I have a question, Sherry.
Okay, go ahead, Helen. Then I have Audrey, then Melba.
So Jeff, being I'm a customer now, do I have to fill out that form and everything too, or?
you should, yes.
Okay. My other question is, when you do the fiber and then you put it into houses, how do you deal with some of these laneways that have 4 or 5 houses back?
What we've been doing is running multi-fiber back through one cable, like we might run a 12 fiber, and then create a breakout way back in the kind of where we can feed all the houses all together. So that we're not crossing the laneway 10 times and, worried about everybody's garden and that type of thing. So we try and create a distribution point somewhere back where that all the houses can feed from.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Audrey, then Melba.
Just 2 quick questions. Where do you put the fiber by the house so you can easy access to it?
We usually follow the other utilities, usually where the hydro goes in, we try and stick along that. That way we can get the proper grounding, we can do everything all from one side.
And the other question is, how much does the box cost? So what is a homeowner going to pay out of their own pocket?
$75 for the box.
And that covers the hookup as well?
No, it'd be $150 with the hookup and all that.
So total box and hookup is $150?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Melba.
Jeff, how are you attempting to locate people who have land and want to take advantage of your business here, the lines?
They've been contacting us, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's good.
Everybody's looking for internet. It's no longer a luxury or an entertainment feature. It's an everyday thing now. So a lot of people are chasing us to make sure that we get services into their residents and that. Yeah,
Can you
for
use
sure.
your mic, Melba? Thank you.
That wasn't the situation years ago when people needed the roads repaired and paved.
Right.
Yeah, you had to chase them down or you could never, because of the relationships at times. I don't talk to my relatives, those kind of things. Well, I'm glad things have improved. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anything else, Jeff?
If you could, Troy wanted to go over the little map that we got in front of you there.
Go ahead.
And just show you that, like, all the green lines means it's completed. So your fibers or conduits all on the ground. Majority of the fibers in. I don't know if you guys got a color copy or not. Oh, it's up here.
It's up there, yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell off that, but
Pull the mic closer, so thank you.
So all the green lines are complete. So the majority of the fibers even pulled in there. And then if you see on fourth line, the burgundy or red type line, that is actually lit service. And we're starting to feed off that because it's the main part. And then I guess south of the fourth line, you see those little darker yellow lines. That's where the fiber's going in and becoming live next. So the only portion, like Jeff mentioned, was on the top side of the lighter yellow. That's the only portion really left to do. And Tuscarora actually is yellow, but probably by the end of the week, that one will be all green too. So it's progressing fairly well. It's a lot of work to it. And one thing we did want to say about the services, if we get into, we got 3 plow crews working now between
Yes.
Jeff's group and my group. Even if the people sign up and it freezes and we can't get it in, even if that goes beyond, if they allow us to put it to the side of the house on the ground, out of the way where it's not tripping hazard and everything, that even after March, when we're able to put that in, they're not going to get charged for that, right? So it's just a matter of signing up before March 31st. So
One other thing that, according to the map here, you'll see some blank lines on some of the concessions. That's what we call an overbuild, and part of the UBF didn't allow us to overbuild, so that's being fed by coax. And what's going to happen after this project's done, we're going to start going back and building that on our own. So we'll eventually get fiber there, and all the coax is going to come out. It'll all be in a passive fiber system, which is top of the line and so much easier to maintain and more cost effective and better service. So just if you're wondering, that includes the village as well. The village is right now is on coax, except for dedicated fiber.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Carrie.
Jeff, on Oneida Road,
Mm-hmm.
between 6 going to 7,
Mm-hmm.
is there a different contractor in there? Because I thought they were putting conduit
Rogers,
in on the east side.
Lidcor on the, I guess it would be the east side. They put in pipe down there. That's not considered part of the reserve, so. Yeah, so Rogers claimed right up to the edge. But if,
You're going to be putting on the west
yes,
side of the road then?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. If you look down in New Credit too on, I guess, extension of First Line there, you'll see a green line there. Rogers went across the road on the other side too, but we did too, because that's our territory. So we're making sure that they don't cross our territories. And we're not crossing theirs and they're not gonna cross ours.
Go ahead.
So all the green, is that live now or how soon will it be live?
They're working on this, if anything, be splicing left to do there.
So it could be, depending on weather again, probably the first of the year. Now it won't all come at once. It's gonna, like Fourth Line is starting to come up now. Now all the offshoots will come the same way. So it'll be a period over anywhere from 2 to 4 months to have it 100%.
So Fourth Line, they're gonna start taking services, or activating services down there. That's coming probably the beginning of next week, I would imagine.
Okay, any other questions? I don't see any. Okay, thank you for coming in for the update. Yep. So the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council accept the updates on the fiber optic installation on Six Nations of the Grand River from Jeff Thomas, owner of First Nations Cable, and Troy Sitter of Solo Cable as information. So mover, moved by Audrey, second by Carrie. All in favor? By opposed? See none? Carried. Okay, let's go to number 3. Crystal Campbell. The Indigenous Professional Services. Got a PowerPoint? There we go. We're getting it for you. Thanks. So good evening and welcome. And if you can introduce yourselves, and you have 30 minutes. Yeah. And 25 minutes and then 5 minutes for questions, or 20 minutes and 10 minutes for questions.
All right.
Okay? Floor is yours.
Okay, I'll just introduce myself. Crystal Campbell. I actually work at the Public Works Department as the Community Energy Champion. I've been working there for 5 years now. As a Community Energy Champion, my role is to help our community better understand how we use energy, find ways to lower costs, improve reliability, and plan for future growth. The point of this presentation today is to present the energy plan. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to let me present today. We are here to outline our community energy plan, a strategic roadmap designed to strengthen our energy security, reduce long-term costs, support economic development, and promote a healthier, more resilient community. The purpose of this presentation, oh, I think you went too far. I'm still at the beginning. First one, yep. The purpose of this presentation is to ensure council and the community are fully updated on the work completed so far, including engagement, data collection, and project identification. We also want to confirm the path forward and seek council's approval to share the community energy plan publicly. This would include posting on community platforms, distributing printed materials, and presenting information to community members. The plan identifies where we are today, where we need to go, and the practical steps to get there. It is grounded in community priorities, guided by local data, and aligned with opportunities that can help us build capacity, support jobs, and improve energy reliability. Our goal is simple: to reduce energy costs, increase local control over our energy future, and ensure that investments made today support future generations. In the presentation, we'll walk through what an energy plan is, the timeline of energy planning, baseline energy consumption, engagement that's been done, activities completed to date, energy opportunities, implementation plan, and what's been completed since the 2024 draft. So I'll just turn it over to Shane now to introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, my name is Shane Hill. I'm from Six Nations. Live and work in Curve Lake First Nation now, which is just north of Peterborough. I've been part of a company called SIPS, Cambium Indigenous Professional Services, for the past 9 years. It'll be 10 in April, I think. And yeah, I've been helping to support Crystal here through the work that she's been doing as the Community Energy Champion, and helping to support the development of the Community Energy Plan as well. So thank you for having me, and we'll try to answer any questions you have. So,
Thank you.
And I think I do the next few, right?
You can go to slide 3.
Yeah.
Next one, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess just a little bit about what a community energy plan is. It's all funded by the ISO, which is the Independent Electricity Systems Operator. They're an organization. They kind of work hand in hand with OPG and Hydro One, and what they do is really control the supply and demand of electricity in Ontario. A part of what they do is planning, and they fund a lot of these Indigenous initiatives, including the Community Energy Plan. And so when Crystal got the funding to help update the Community Energy Plan, the ISO has kind of guidelines of what they'd like to see in that, and this is basically what that is. So as Crystal mentioned, the whole purpose of an energy plan is to really guide energy use within a community. One approach that we took with this one, I think that you'll notice if you read through it, is it's meant to be really community-based. And I think the word that we used before is more a grassroots approach, where we can, and really trying to focus on community members as well as community buildings as well. So just really quickly, the basic components of an energy plan, this is what the ISO likes to see, is energy vision and goals. So what are the community's desires and aspirations in relation to energy? Then you've got the baseline energy use and future projections. This is kind of where I come in the most, I think. I do have an engineering background, so help to, as best we can, estimate what the energy use within Six Nations is, which isn't an easy task. And I will say, there are some estimations and assumptions in there, but we'll present on that. And then we look at what opportunities exist for the community, as well as how to implement it. And community engagement is a big piece of putting together a community energy plan, because we want to make sure that all the voices are heard and incorporated into that document where we can. Next slide. So just a brief timeline of energy planning in Six Nations. So the first community energy plan was developed by DevCorp back in 2017. That was Daryl Hill led the development of that at the time. And I helped to support with some of the math again on that. So I do have a history of helping to support with these energy plans within the community. The community energy champion, Crystal, was hired in 2019 through Six Nations Public Works, again through ISO funding. Funding was awarded to update the community energy plan in 2022. A draft was completed last fall, and it's the Built Environment Committee I think we presented to get some feedback, and we're here today to present the final community energy plan. And just to note that all the funding for most of these initiatives is coming through the IESO, so not a cost to the community, except for, and we'll touch base on it after in a few slides, there is a program called the Indigenous Energy Projects. That's more for the development of renewables and feasibility studies, and there is a contribution required from the community on that. But other than that, all the funding comes through the IESO. So just high, kind of 30,000 feet on the baseline energy consumption. There is a report that goes into all this in more detail. One thing to note is this was done in fall of 2024, and these statistics are from 2023, I think December. So they've likely increased population-wise. But really what we're trying to do here is the best we can identify what the total energy use within the community looks like. So you'll see the graph there on the left. The pie chart just shows the energy consumption year over year from 2017 to 2021. And the main types of energy used in the community are gasoline, diesel, wood, heating oil, natural gas, propane, and electricity. The chart on the right there shows a breakdown of how energy is used. And you'll see, I think one thing to note is the gray, and there's a little sliver of kind of brown up there. And it's about 55% of all energy used within Six Nations relates to transportation. That's driving, that's the gas people use, the diesel. Electricity is the blue there, that also makes up a big chunk, as well as natural gas. Just some of the statistics on the side here. Residential energy use overall accounts for 90% of the total energy use. So even though we do focus, and Crystal focuses on reducing energy use in community-owned buildings, there's a lot more houses than there are community buildings. So that's always been a focus too, is how do you translate energy savings down to people within the community at the residential level. CO2 emissions, so that's the greenhouse gas. We can kind of do the math. About 47,000 tons annually is emitted from the energy that's used in Six Nations. And again, this is important. It ties into a lot of things. A lot of the funding sources that come out from NRCan, for example, really relate back to how do you reduce greenhouse gases. So, we can have the best ideas in the world, but to implement something, you need to find the funding for it. So keeping an eye on the greenhouse gas emissions is important for that aspect. Total energy cost estimated to be about $31.3 million per year. And the First Nations delivery credit, which is a credit that is administered through Hydro One. So if you're on reserve, you have a status card, you get the delivery charge removed for residential customers. That's estimated to save almost $3 million a year within the community. So this is just some of the engagement that was completed for the CEP. So there was a community energy questionnaire that went out back when the project was started. That was 2022. 244 responses were obtained from that. The feedback was incorporated into the final plan. Residential energy audits were completed. So there was 25 of them done. The idea with that is in order to understand how energy is used in a home, we wanted to kind of take a sample size of what a typical home within the community looks like and see how energy is used there. And then Crystal has been running the Six Nations Employment and Training Fair, the third year, just happened this year. So that started back in 2023, 2024, and 2025. It's a pretty well attended event. I think the first year was about 100. Year two, it was over 300. And then last year, there was well over 300 people. I don't know if you ever got a count on that. So again, Crystal's trying to do her best to engage the community at every opportunity possible and get that feedback and incorporate it into the work that she does.
And then there's some activities that were.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Cynthia. You're on mute.
I'm on my little phone here. My laptop don't work properly. But with your explanation about the IESO, they do the control the supply and the demand. So they have to strategize and project what does Ontario need in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Thus, there be more transmission lines or people generating electricity, all that sort of thing. And this plan, as I understand it, that you've got for Six Nations, captures our current usage and projected usage. How does that I'm just wondering, how does that feed into that the real world of Six Nations? For example, we don't have zoning bylaws, so what we find is businesses will spring up and we're not necessarily notified or know anything about it, but they have, and I think the chief meets monthly with a representative from Hydro. But how is this increased usage? Because I think there's a lot of hydro used in, for example, in the grow ups. How is that tracked or accounted for? Or I'm just worried about what about our supply here in Six Nations? I just don't know how this all connects together so that the right knows what the left is doing.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, there's a lot of work to be done there with that. So first off, the intention of the energy plan is, you know, it's meant to be broad and cover a bunch of different bases. This energy plan, if we want to get into looking at what the capacity is within the community and planning, you talked about bylaws, right? That's a whole issue that is going to need to be solved. So first off, the energy plan is meant to be broad. There is opportunities to investigate, and that is something that should be done, is to investigate what the actual capacity use is, or the capacity of electricity is within the lines. I know Crystal's been doing some of that work, specifically looking at the level 3 EV charging stations. And really, that's a feasibility study or something like that to delve deeper into that specific area. And you are right that the ISO, two aspects. I think one is the planning for sure. Two is they've got a really big push to conserve electricity, because every kilowatt hour of electricity they can conserve is one less kilowatt hour they have to produce, right? So both conservation and future planning of electrical capacity are going to be important for the community. I hope that answered your question, Cynthia.
That's good. Keep going.
Okay, some of the activities that have been completed since the energy plan update. They're either completed, ongoing, or in progress, such as maintaining the Six Nations energy resource, the Community Energy Champion, youth school programs and summer camps, some community outreach events such as Energy and Employment Fair, residential energy efficiency through programs such as the Save on Energy, Energy Affordability Program, public energy efficiency using programs such as the First Nations Building Retrofit Program and small business lighting programs to complete lighting retrofits in community buildings and small businesses, and then LED streetlight installs and replacements throughout the community, and electric vehicle charging station installs at various locations.
So in the energy plan, what we did was identified something called an opportunity, and these are areas that Six Nations and Crystal could kind of go down that road with relation to energy. And the point that Cynthia brought up, about looking at capacity is one such opportunity. Uh, in the energy plan, we actually identified 27 opportunities, which are too many to complete all at once. So in the next slide, to talk about how do we prioritize them. But before we do that, I just want to talk about how we kind of grouped the opportunities that we identified. And they're grouped into kind of four broad categories. So first category relates to anything that deals with administration and planning. So that's like developing the energy plan, putting in funding applications to get funds to fund the initiatives. The next big group is education and capacity building. So that's more about creating awareness, training people, making sure that engagement is done. Crystal does a lot of good work with the schools and the youth summer camps. So, really trying to increase literacy amongst community members related to energy where possible, because that can be used to help them save energy in their homes. The third is efficiency and conservation. So that really has to do with anything that conserves energy. So the First Nations Community Building Retrofit Program that Crystal had mentioned is a program that looks to retrofit lighting in community buildings to save energy. There's tons of opportunities there in all different sectors. So both the kind of community owned sector as well as the residential sector. And then generation infrastructure. So that's your solar PV development. That's putting EV charger in. That's looking at feasibility studies for an EV fleet is something that Crystal's working on. And if you do read the energy plan, that's how we've grouped kind of the different opportunities and initiatives. It's important because where funding comes from, I find, ties to these different aspects. If you want to do a retrofit on a building to reduce energy or to, change out the lights, there's typically a funding stream available for that, and it won't apply to trying to put solar panels on a building or house. So that's a big reason why these categories and opportunities are grouped like that within the energy plan. So as I mentioned, there's about 27 opportunities identified. There's probably more than that, and everything is a good idea, but through engagement and kind of looking at a number of factors like what funding is available and what does the community have capacity to do right now, we've kind of looked at these initiatives here as being the opportunities and priorities for Crystal to pursue over the next 2 to 4 years. So again, I'll go through them pretty quickly just for time's sake, but under administrative and planning, it's making sure that there is a community energy champion position in place because there needs to be somebody within the community to help drive these. We've got energy investment and tracking. So that's the idea with this First Nations community building retrofit program. There's going to be significant energy savings that happen through that, but what are the mechanisms to actually track those savings and see, how much energy is actually saved and how does that impact the bills at the end of the day. There's an energy webpage, so that's something that I know Crystal is working with council to help develop, to have kind of a portal and open source. If the energy plan does go public, that would be a great place to put this. Understanding carbon pricing, credits, and offsets. This has a lot of tie-in with Six Nations Development Corporation. I know when we went to the Built Environment Committee back in fall of last year, it was something that was raised because Six Nations through DevCorp has investments in a lot of larger renewable projects. So understanding how those carbon pricing and offsets work is going to be an important aspect to consider. There's looking at opportunities to reinvest. So, talked about these initiatives that are happening that save energy within band-owned buildings. There's a cost savings associated with that. So what are opportunities to take a portion or some of that and apply it back to, keeping the ball rolling with respect to energy efficiency? And then making sure the community energy plan stays up to date. You know, as soon as these come out, you know, the Mark Carney, for example, got in and things change, right? So the policies change. So, you know, I always say as soon as you kind of, you know, put the final touches on an energy plan, the next day it's out of date. That's okay because they're meant to constantly evolve as we go. And the real plan is kind of constantly evolving, and the report's meant to be a snapshot over time of where things stand. For efficiency and conservation, there's public energy efficiency. So that's the First Nations Community Building Retrofit Program that Crystal mentioned. She's looking at a feasibility study to assess the viability of implementing electric vehicles as kind of part of Six Nations fleet of vehicles. On the education capacity building side, there's youth school programs, community outreach, continuing to train and develop the skills of the CEC, which is Crystal, which is going to be important because as these, you know, types of initiatives that she's helping to do advance, her skill set has to advance with that. And then youth summer camps. And then on the clean energy generation side, it's a feasibility study to look at implementing solar potentially on a community-owned building. There's off-grid lighting opportunities in implementing solar there. So the stop signs, you know, they got the red blinking light. You know, can we use solar to power that? And then EV charging infrastructure. And I did see the one when I pulled in out in the parking lot, which is nice to see.
And then there's what's been completed since the 2024 draft of the energy plan. We've been awarded $225,000 from the Independent Electricity System Operator toward an electric vehicle fleet study and a solar feasibility study that will be completed in the new year, and ongoing community engagement activities. Some progress toward electric vehicle charger installs. To date, 8 level 2 chargers have been installed at locations such as White Pines Health Center, Six Nations Sports and Cultural Memorial Center, and the Central Admin Building, leaving 2 more with locations to be determined. A level 3 fast charger is also planned for installation at the Iroquois Plaza in the new year. The 2025 Energy Fair was a huge success, now in its 3rd year and growing, each year with a purpose to bridge the gap between the information available within the energy sector and the pathways to an energy career. The event provides a space for community members to speak one-on-one with organizations such as energy suppliers, community employment resources, and leaders in the energy industry that provide information on energy programs and much more. Continued outreach throughout community engagement events with the Plug and Drive, providing electric vehicle test drives and school programming through programs with relay education and elephant thoughts that provide the youth with hands-on opportunities to learn about renewable energy systems. And an application has been submitted to the Independent Electricity System Operators Indigenous Energy Support Program for the 2026 funding round, which I'll explain on the next slide. Okay. October 3rd, an application was submitted to the Independent Electricity System Operator for the following: a Community Energy Champion, $195,000 to continue the Community Energy Champion role for another 3 years. Community Energy Engagement, $150,000 to continue engagement efforts with all levels of community to continue the annual Energy and Employment Fair. Youth education within the schools, energy auditor training, electric vehicle and solar training. And then residential retrofits needs inventory at $60,000 to help identify the residential retrofit needs in the community as a first step to designing a program specific to the needs of Six Nations. And a solar install at $222,000 based on the outcome of the feasibility study. A commercial community building will be selected to install solar technology. This next one. And I just want to say thank you for your time and consideration today. The work completed so far has provided us with a clear understanding of our community's energy needs, strengths, and opportunities ahead. The next phase of this plan will allow us to advance priority projects, secure funding, and continue building capacity within Six Nations. At this time, we are seeking council's approval to proceed with the recommended next steps, including the ability to share the community energy plan update publicly so community members can remain informed and engaged. And then thank you again at this time. I'd like to open the floor for any questions, feedback, or comments.
Okay, any questions or comments? Council? Okay. I don't see any. So I have recommendation 3 that the Six Nations of the Grand River Council accepts the PowerPoint presentation by Crystal Campbell and Shane Hill from Cambium Indigenous Professional Services as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Dale. Seconder? Second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. I have 6-4, that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approves the Community Energy Plan Update version, September 27, 2024. Correct? Is there a mover? Moved by Dale, seconder. Second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed?
I have a question, Sherry.
Okay, see none, carried. Go ahead, Amos.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. I was just wondering, I heard some documentaries about, is it called geothermal energy? Do you work in that area at all, or do you know of that area about geothermal energy production or whatever it's called? Do you have that background, or is that something that we might be the First Nation looking at geothermal?
I know a bit about it, so just really quickly, if you bear with me, there's kind of two. So if you look at an area with volcanic activity like Iceland, geothermal is really popular there because there's actually heat that can be used to generate electricity. That doesn't exist in Six Nations. So the other technology is more passive, and it's geothermal ground loops. And basically, what that does is use the ground to offset your heating and cooling. It is an option. We don't look into it too much because in a lot of cases it's unviable, especially for smaller homes. But when you get into larger buildings, if you work that into the initial planning, it can make sense. And that's kind of
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go to recommendation 6-5. This was moved by Helen Miller and seconded by Carrie Bombery, that the Built Environment Climate Adaptation Lands and Membership Committee recommends Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council post approve for funding application submissions. Okay. Yep. Therefore, it be resolved that the Built Environment Climate Adaptation Lands and Membership Committee recommends that the Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council post approve the submission of 4 proposals to the Independent Electricity Systems Operators Indigenous Energy Support Program for Community Energy Champion in the amount of $195,000, Community Energy Engagement in the amount of $150,000, residential retrofit needs inventory in the amount of $60,000, and solar installation in the amount of $222,000, with a 20% contribution from Six Nations of the Grand River of $55,500. Is there a mover? That was long. Moved by Dale. Seconder? Second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Can I waive second reading on recommendation 6-4 and 6-5? Is there a mover? Moved by Dale. Seconder? Second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next delegation. Nancy Porter. Okay. Good evening. Yes, and welcome.
Just wait. Am I supposed to put that on?
There you go.
Okay.
Can hear you now.
Danielle connect us? And I wanted to see if we were live because there's
Yeah,
a
we
lot
are.
of people that want to come in.
Yeah, we're live.
And okay.
Right.
It's,
Yep.
okay.
Jody's saying, yeah, we're
All
live.
right. Thanks. Yeah, she was just gonna play some on some photos through the computer. Yeah. Okay.
Should come up now.
Okay.
This one. Go ahead. Okay.
No. You let it go through. Well, thank you for having us. I'm not Nancy Porter, but I'm a follower.
We're on the same path.
So we just wanted to come and give an update of what's been happening in our neighborhood. We have a small slideshow for you all. This one was actually very moving for me. Leadership is about submission to duty, not elevation to power. And I think as we go through this, I just want you to kind of think about that what we're here for and what we've been speaking to you all about isn't about my children specifically or my neighborhood. It's about the kids coming, the next generations. I think our biggest question is what has elected band council, what have you done to protect us? To protect the waters, to protect the environment, to protect our youth, my grandchildren, your great grandchildren. We're asking you to keep our community safe, not just on a criminal activity level, but as an environmental level, right? As the air quality, the environment, the water, all of that. That's why yous were all voted in. I don't vote, so sorry, but that's what I feel like you're here for, is to administer funding, but also to speak and to use our voices. And just so you know, that's my grandson, so I have the right to use the photo. So we have a group of women. We're all women that have come together for a vision and a mission for our community. I'm not going to read everything because I think that's a really boring way to do a presentation. But we do have a vision, and it's just the circle of women committed to protecting our children and our homes, our community. And our mission is just about the safe, healthy, and well-being of the people and our community. The first one we want to talk about is just some environmental issues. It's from an Indigenous lens. It's about the land and the environment. This is one quote that I seen online. It just said an Indigenous proverb, but we did not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrowed it from our children and our grandchildren. And I think that really hits the spot when we think about what's happening in our community, to the air. Like as Nancy and I have been working with just our neighbors, just within the hood. We've also been getting a lot of questions and concerns about different locations on the reserve. So there's a lot of, what about, you know, the factory down third line? What about GRE? We hear that a lot. And, you know, I'm not saying or dismissing it, but I think that it's becoming more of a whole. So I'm asking people who might be listening that have issues with those locations is to put them in writing and bring them together. And maybe you could put them all together in one basket, right? To say, what do we need to do? Because it is a big issue. We have a few updates. So this one we found is important. This was a truck that was coming from Manitoba. There's a non-Indigenous driver, but the passenger was Indigenous, and she leaned over. She was speaking to Nancy. Something interesting about this was that they were delivering it to bootleg farms. And this was the loading slip that they gave you.
Permission to take a picture of, as we were concerned, is what they were bringing in there. I spoke with the environment official, and they said that was against all regulations to be transporting anything as like peat moss to different territories, different provinces. Yeah. Okay.
This is just things are just been landing in our lap. People are just handing us things. So I'm just going to play this for you. This was just something that somebody gave us. We don't ask for these things. They just drop it off, right? And say, hey, look at this. So this is an update from the last aerial shot that we gave or showed. Again, we don't have permission to, well, we didn't take the photo. However, somebody gave them to us. Since then, there's still more than this now and more construction, but it's no, it's it was an
Right from the
airplane.
airplane, yeah.
I think that if my recommendation, if I were you, I would be looking at having aerial photographs and videos of the entire reserve. Just right along the lines of what Cynthia was asking the last presenter is what's going to happen to the energy if we don't know what other buildings and, you know, other grow ops or other factories or other businesses going up. How are we going to how are you going to support it through the water line, the sewer line, the electrical, right? Like the hydro and everything. Oh, this one. June 13th, there was drilling done. There was a loud noise, loud vibrations. My son is being tested for autism. He doesn't like vibrations. He can feel them. So this was a Friday. We were outside playing soccer and you could hear it. So we went for a walk in the bush and then this is what we came across. So I think just for, oh, sorry, I guess that's the wrong video, but just for sake, we didn't cross any boundary lines. This was taken from our side of the boundary. You can see that it went through the trees. On June 18th, you all know about the flooding that's happened right in Oswego, but for us, this was the flooding here at Nancy's property. My flooding was at the other end, and our property kind of goes like this. So we're both kind of at the low ends of it, which totally takes away what the original runoff of that property was. So this is right up to the septic. So we couldn't upload a video, but there is a video. Once they dug, opened up the berm, the water went through there faster than any creek I've ever seen on a reserve.
Right.
Oh, that's the repeated. There was air quality, so Sarah Smith got in touch with me after I spoke with Deb, and she did an air quality test at my property. She didn't get to 1601 because there was a death in the family, but they haven't supplied us with the results of that yet. So that was from October. I did reach out to her and ask her, does she have the results? How long does it take? She said she was writing a report, but we still do not have results from that. A lot of things have changed for us. Um, my biggest concern for our community, for my family, for the children that I've seen walking to school is the safety of our community and our kids. Um, I like this quote here too. It's only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish has been caught, we'll realize that we cannot eat money. One of the things that Nancy brought up was talking to Environment Canada or the Ministry of Environment, and they were the ones that informed us that you're not supposed to be traveling or bringing peat moss from one territory to another, from one province to another. There is, oh, there it is there. So that was on November the 10th. There's restrictions on shipping it from province to province. So that brings concerns of who's regulating it and who's enforcing it, not just specifically to Fourth Line, but to all the other ones that have popped up. And there's a lot from what the community is reaching out to us. There's a lot more locations. There was a report filed with the Ministry of Environment to the Spills Action Center. That was just last week on November 21st. They talked to us about the wastewater from all the grow ops, not just from one specifically. The words of advice that we got was that the wastewater from watering these plants can run off and it can go into creeks, it can go into the land. That creek then flows into the Grand River, which flows to the rest of the communities from here down to Dunnville and then into Lake Erie. So I did speak with, I can't remember the exact business, but I did call the American side and ask them um, how they regulate that, like with waste or toxic water coming in and flowing through. So the Ministry of Environment encouraged us to call the Grand River Conservation Authority and also talk to the other communities, especially the ones downstream. Just the other safety concern was Six Nations children. I was at the corner. I had just dropped my son off at school. There was little kids that were crossing the road. We don't have a crossing guard. They're grade 4 or whatever coming up. A transport was turning from Chiefs Road and going west on Fourth Line, and it actually went over the curb. And I could only imagine if there was a little kid waiting to cross the road. The first and second day of school, my son was he's first year ever getting on the bus, he's special needs. And we had to move back, but the trucks that were going by were like transport after transport. And there was a ton of dump trucks going by. I have a video of one dump truck that was going by when my son was getting off the bus, and it had black rock in it, and didn't have no cover over top. I do have a video of that. We did show the police that. We did report it to the police. The police's response was, we didn't see it. I said, there's a video. There's that one. So those are some instances that we've called the cops. There's been quite a few times that we've had to call the police for safety concerns. There's vehicles that are parked in my laneway. Vehicles in front of Nancy's laneway, four-wheelers spinning around, leaving 3-inch holes in their laneway in the property. We got lots of the photos from the security cameras. I'll let you talk about the harassment piece.
Did you put the stuff on about that lady that drove over the?
Yeah.
Okay. So my main concern here is a lot of the safety. There's so much going on in it back there that it's just pitiful. It's just pitiful that we have to live like this on a daily basis. Just the other day, there was one of their workers, we know of her, but, you know, she drove back there. I know she works there, and of course she starts swearing at me, and I just told her to come over here and say it, and that's not called for. It's not called for. Like, you work back there, okay, you come through the neighborhood, you're like, it's just not called for, because what is it? What if it escalates? What if it draws us back there? We don't know what's back there. Our safety on a daily basis, 24/7, 7 days a week, it goes on and on and on. The harm, like, I, it shouldn't be happening. Like, we're dealing with not just the grow up, all the people that work there that come in 7 days a week. You can't even have a rest on a Sunday afternoon. Somebody's rolling up in there, going into the building that they put in there. And one of the questions I want to ask is, why did you not get in touch with ISK? Why did you not get in touch with CMHC and go up against this building that's going back there? I see none of our people working there. I argue with the hydro people because they were on my property, and they were talking to their project manager, which is he's not native, and he's telling them where to put the hydro poles on my property. So they're telling me to get away or whatever. I said, I have every right to be standing here and taking care of the things to look after what I have. Who gives them the right to come in, and say, put the hydro pole here? So I called hydro. I called twice. It took the second call to the ombudsman of hydro for them to really take concern of it. And then I was told he was trying to bypass the hydro, like to go right to hydro to get those poles in. And I said, that's a hazard, because they flooded the property out in front 3 times. And what if the hydro poles go down? Hydro and water don't mix. They got to go right across the back of the property over. And it's just constantly. One night they were 9:30 at night. They had big lights. It lit up the whole the whole neighborhood. They looked like football lights. 9:30, they're working on the concrete, and I had to call in my nephew to go and shut off those lights. Those people shouldn't be working back there. They're working in a community. Who gives them the right to come in and do whatever they want any time of the day? And we feel no support from you. Like, it's, as of September 1st, when I was first told by this Asian driving out of there that he bought that, like, it just made me feel like, who tells your own band member? Like, I grew up here, live here, and this Asian comes out and says, we bought that. I said, you can't own nothing around here. Who give you? So he gestured to me. He made this like this. He told me like this. So he's telling me with a gesture. Somebody told him that. So then we get all along. Well, where did you get the money for it? From the owner, the property owner now. But yet I have an Asian. I have a picture. I have a picture of him gesturing even. And he drives out, gives me the finger. BC license plates on the car. So that was September 1st of 2024. And it just went on and on and on from there. Continuously, They dug in and they dug in and they dug in and they dug in, took 30 acres of bush out, changed the waterways, covered the waterways, flooded us 3 times, flooded Danielle on the other end on a daily basis. And it's everything back there, 110 acres, so close to all our people. You allowed harm to come to us, harm. Even the police would ask me, why do you, what's wrong? I said, I don't feel safe. Why don't you feel safe? Because you don't know what's back there. I don't know what's back there. And you're not allowed to go find out. I even called the MP of Brant and asked him, what do I do? What do I do? I called the band council. They won't find out. Is this legal or illegal? He said, my right was to call the police and they're supposed to find out if it's legal. That's my right. And I had to call someone off of the reserve to find that out. On a daily basis, it's just gone on and on and on. You know, my mom's scared that I go outside. You know, and she's worried about me. And it's in daylight. Just the other day, Saturday, November 15th, someone pulled up my mother's other property, drove right over the tile bed, come out my cousin's laneway, drove back to the cable. So I got in my vehicle and I went back there. And here it was an Asian lady. She walked back to the grow up, came back out, and was going to drive away and go back on the road. I pressed charges because I called the police, but I had to keep her there. She drove right over the. I just think about if any of the kids were out there. This was at 12:30 in the afternoon. And she says, I don't speak English, but she held a license. I don't know how that happens. I don't know. But I pressed charges and the police said, well, you're going to have to go to trial or take it to court. I said, okay, let's do it. Because they could have hurt somebody. We just had the Santa Claus parade that day. And it's 12:30 in the afternoon. I wasn't looking for trouble. I don't look for it. I want some peace and some freedom that I can walk around and be safe. Be safe again.
And
For
that,
everybody.
and that truck, that didn't happen there, like at your location. It showed up like that with the damage already done with the bumper half off.
And it just seemed like she was under duress. She got out of that truck and dropped to her knees and asked me not to. And I didn't want, I didn't know what to do. I just said, stay there. The police are coming. You can't come in here and drive around. You could have damaged my mother's tile bed. And that's just the day before that, there was another big truck coming out from back there. So this guy's waving at me, opens the door, waves at me. You can't take my picture. You can't this, you can't that. I said, well, do you know where you are? You're on a reserve. Well, it's against the law. And I said, whose law? This is our reserve. This is where we live. This is where our peace and our freedom should be. Why do we have to go by everything? And I asked, I came here. I asked for a stop work order. I asked for that way in April. I sent it to the commission. I did everything I was told by the advice that I asked for as we went on and on and on a daily basis. My mother only got to go out. She didn't even get to go outside because of the smell. No good air in our home. No fresh air.
Jerry Lynn, can I talk to you? Can I say something?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Can you just push the mic, please? Yep. Yep. Just push it just so everybody can hear you.
You're going to hear me, all right? Marijuana is a mind changer, according to the great law of peace. We can't sell alcohol on the reserve. You know what they call alcohol in Guahonwe? Do you? How can you run this reserve if you can't even understand the language? Negajadeños. That's what they call mind changer. So is marijuana. So why did you let them put up these dispensaries? You did let them, right?
I don't think it was just mine. It was councils that we never asked to, same as the smoke shops, that we never. Um, yeah, pardon me. Yeah, put them up. Hmm.
So take them down. If you're the leader of our territory, take them down. And don't call yourself a chief because a woman can't be chief. Understand that?
Yes, I do. And thank you for that.
Good. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you for your words.
We'll let you be the head one, not the chief. Change that. Any other time, if we still have band council, that word woman chief does not happen here because a woman cannot be chief according to the great law of peace. And Dane ne kai hade hanagre ne squayadiso. I nyame scano asanotanyo ne adrichtang yo nanto ne wishnewinjagi. Anybody know what I said? Did anybody record it? It's recorded, right?
Recorded.
I said, I'll start off. Dane one, all right now. Ne gaunhyage hanagre ne saskoyadiso. In heaven he lives, our creator. Dane one, I thank you. Yahweh scano means I thank you. Ne adrichtangyo nanto. That means what's going on here, right here. Myself, I think Sherry Lynn could be a good leader, but she's got to listen to the Confederacy chiefs. Then she could be the head leader of the band council. How does that sound? Would you do that?
Well, I think the to be called chief or whatever, what is that, the election code? Change it in the election code. I have, you know.
We don't follow the election code
Oh, I'm just
of
saying
the great law.
I understand that. I'm just.
You don't understand it. Well, then somebody's going to have the power to take you out. And you know who it's going to be? E. Unless you want to work for me, I'll help you. I know quite a bit about the laws. All you guys, I'll help you. And we'll beat that damn tax man that's trying to come in. You know what's going to happen. What's your plan when they decide to bring taxes up against us? What's your plan?
I think I speak for everybody here that to fight the taxes because we don't want taxes here.
And you know what? Do you own land?
Do I own land?
Yeah,
Um, I own land, but it's the PC land.
it's BC land. What kind of land is it then?
CP land. I have property.
You don't own it.
I know.
You know who owns it? Who owns it? Tell me.
The great law.
The Great Law don't own
Well,
it.
not the great law, but the creator.
The
It's the
creator. There you go.
environment. Yes.
That's who owns the
It's
land.
peace, love, and joy, and
Yes.
it's coming together because we
Yeah.
know what's going on in this community, and it's the part of
So
just working
what do you
together.
think about this marijuana thing then? Are you going to let it keep on going when it's a mind changer? What's it going to do to our kids? What kind of life is our kids going to have? What you know what marijuana leads to, right? What?
Could lead to higher dose of drugs.
Correct. And you let them sell marijuana. There's 10-year-old kids now smoking marijuana. So there's people dying on a reserve from fentanyl. I don't know if any of you people know that. Anybody over there know that people have been dying from fentanyl? Dale knows, right, Dale? Not you. The other, oh, you do too? Well, there you go. We got to do something about this drug thing that's going on. If we don't, we are going to be extinct. And we got to push for our language. Look at, everybody should be talking Guahonwe. You should be talking Guahonwe. You're running the band council. I'll say something to you and see if you know what it means. Okay? Sonny Squahank, yeah?
How? So,
Huh? You know what it means? No?
no.
It means, do you want to have intercourse? Well, there.
I have Hazel and then Melba.
Thank you for what you're saying. However, this council has written numerous letters to HCC to join us to combat these problems, and we don't ever get a response back. I hear what these girls are saying about how they have to live now. Nobody on this reserve should have to live like that. We didn't decide to put cannabis in this community. The government okayed it, and everybody's running to build their little shops. So I think you're putting too much blame on this council for something that they did not do. We are trying to regulate it through a commission, but even that seems to be hard to do. I'm not trying to overpower you.
Can you use your mic, please? Just so people can hear. Carrie, can you push that for him? Thank you.
I'm going to tell you people something, and I might get killed for this. But if I do, I died for my people. What I believe in.
Just before you go on, sir, I think all of us here are trying our best for our people.
No, you're not.
And it's not fair for you to come in here and be talking so down to the chief because she's trying. What more can you ask of people than to try?
Okay.
We're the government that is trying.
Are you a Ongohowe?
I sure am. Are you?
What, can you speak Wahowe?
Some of it, yes.
Say something to me and I'll tell you what you said. Say a sentence.
Sonkai, Sonkage, Ongohowe.
Damn right.
There you go.
Now let me say something to you and see if you understand. What that needs is shot the help on it.
Go ahead, Melba. Use your mic. Thank you.
Your words tonight, yeah, it's really appreciated. And follow up to what Hazel had mentioned, correspondence hasn't been great, and we've tried to correspond with the Confederacy HCC. And sorry,
You,
Yeah.
you know why
Can
the Confederacy won't deal with youth? Because of Detler. You heard of Detler, right? What about all those condos he owns in Toronto? Where's that money going?
Te ganyan yakwat ni gyazo.
Oh, that.
Ota hioni ne waka shout dan.
Oh, you're a Wolf Clan.
Kaya kyono ni wak zo dan.
Oh, you're from Akwesasne or Mohawk. Yeah.
Kesendakwa. We just want to finish our presentation
Okay,
and
go
then
ahead.
maybe,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to close. Thank you though for your support. Maybe you should teach a language class. That would be good.
My wife does.
Oh, I take language classes too, so I don't know what you're saying, but
What I want to do for 1 minute, I want to see all these little kids talking to each other.
mhm,
In Goyokono, Onondaga, or
mhm,
Kanyagehaga.
mhm,
Wouldn't that be lovely?
mhm.
Even youth people learn,
That would be a good idea.
right?
Mhm. Now,
Yeah.
I don't even know where I was. So back to one of the safety concerns as well is this. Um, so I did speak to someone. There's a thing called freedom of speech. I've posted a few things on Facebook. Some of the things in this letter that they wrote are untrue. But this is a letter that I received from UPS, who sat this letter beside my door. So I know at one point in my time that I've been here, and I'm saying it now because it's recorded, it's on Facebook, it's live, is that if I go missing, you can't find me. I'm not suicidal, so I am not going to kill myself. And please come find me. Because I received a letter, and it says re Aaron Porter, Legacy Farms, but it also talks about Horizon Legacy within this letter, which they're supposed to be separate. From my understanding, I'm not the only one that received it, but I'm going to pass it to you guys so that if you want to have it read, you don't get to keep it, but you can have it read. And these are some of the reasons of some of the safety concerns. We're trying to bring awareness to the community about our neighborhood, and now it feels like a threat. This has gone as far as now my children are afraid, my adult children are afraid. There's a car, vehicles, like I said, parked at the end of the laneway, covers over the back window. Not just the glass, but a sheet or a garbage bag. And my children get afraid. So now we're living in fear. And that totally goes against the letter that, again, like it wasn't this council that started the Cannabis Commission or anything like that, but in the letter, it talks about the safety. You have that letter? It talks about the safety that the bank council is supposed to uphold for us. I think Brenda has. No. Yeah. This is just another incident that happened. A tow truck from, what was it? Was it a towing company from London dropped this trailer off. This was just captured by the security cameras. Dropped it. There is no plate on the trailer. There was no flashing lights, no hazards, nothing. It's on the little knoll. You can see cars having to stop, wondering what's going on. Happened at 9:55 a.m. On October 25th. It was a Saturday morning, and then it just left the trailer there. It didn't even pull into the grow op and put it on there right away or anything like that. It just left it there and it took off. You can see the lettering. I don't know why. Um, then a truck, that red truck there that drives by, pulled out of the grow up, turned around at Bobby's. We just sped it up and then picked up the trailer and pulled it in the back. These are just some of the little things that happen in our neighborhood. I just want to say thank you, Nyawa, to Audrey, to Dean, to Cynthia, to Amos, and Elena for, we offered before for you to come out and look at the property, to come and see what's going on, to have your own view of it. And those were the counselors that did reach out, that did came out to see it. Do you have your...
So the other thing too I wanted to discuss is all of the people that we got in touch with over this past from June to now. And every person we talk with said that you hold the power in between us and what can go on. So you represent us. You represent to keep us safe. I understand that. But you hold the power to take action. I don't know, I don't understand. If you could help me understand why we are sitting still and letting this happen as they dig in more and more. Like they had a great big crane back there. And we're fighting the wastewater going into this ground and they keep digging holes. And they're so close. Like I put up a fence along the driveway at the edge of my property in September, and it was so dry in August, and that filled up. There was water in there, and I thought, oh my God, that's all the wastewater that's going in the ground. And I was out raking at the end in August, and just a big smell of chemicals just came through. And it was like, it wasn't the cannabis smell, it was chemicals. And I'm thinking to myself, where did this come from? What's going on here? So as I observed, I was walking back up to the house and I could hear their sprinkler system. Because there's so many greenhouses out there, it's hooked to a system. And they have a big reservoir dug in the ground that holds all their water. So I could hear it go, pss, pss. It's hitting up against that plastic. So that was pretty obvious what was going on, is that water was hitting those plants and that smell was going out into the air. And then I'm thinking, all of that groundwater that's there. So, and Danielle, she has to get water every week. Her well don't hold any water anymore. They ruin the water table. So that was one of the things we, back in July when I did finally got to this commission, and they're all not there now. Everything's changed over this last year, but that was one thing I did ask, why did you put that there? Around our people. There's so many people here. The biggest population is right here, all in one area. Like my concern was for everybody. My mother And everybody else, because I can move around, she can't. And I'm thinking about my uncle. He's 88, he lives there. My aunt across the road, everybody. All our people here on the trail, you's working here up in the village, because we don't know what's back there. And I'm pleading with you to take action, please, before it gets out of hand. Because we're taunted on a daily basis by everything that's around there. And what's going to happen if somebody just rolls right in there? And we don't know the reaction of others. And who's actually there. Because on the weekend, there's a whole different ball game going on back there. Because I'm outside a lot on the weekend, and it's like, it just never stops. So I'm pleading with you, please take action. It's gone on. They got their crops off. Is that what we were waiting for? Is that who was waiting for that? You know, when I was here in June, and I asked, right? You said you had your lawyers, you were going to do this, you're going to do that. But through the process of it all, talking to everybody we did, Chiefs of Ontario, everybody. And I said, well, who's above you? It's us that are above you. You're working for us. We're all supposed to, like you said, Sherilyn, we're working together, right? You just told him. So let's work together and take action on this now. Because it's getting too brazen, they're getting too bold. They're right out there like nothing.
They're walking on this side of the berm.
They're on the other side of the berm now. Flashlights going at night. Working late at night. I could put my camera on and look back there. There's so many cameras out there now. It's like, but I still feel unsafe with all the cameras. And I know when we call the police, they can't do nothing because they don't know what they're addressing because they're addressing criminality, right? That's their job. But it's to protect us too. I said, are you protecting us or them? Like, I don't understand. I wish you could help me understand. Everything that I've given, I've never gotten nothing in return. Any answers on this? The people are still back there. They're still living there. They never left. So that was the main reason why I wanted to come and give you this update, because it's so out of hand. And through this journey, I didn't know half the system. Like I commend you all for what you have to do here. But to take action is to me, that's all we can do. It's got to be, you got to act upon it now.
I'd like to commend these two women because they've done a lot of work for this community, and they're still doing it, and what they've had to put up with. I'm here tonight for two reasons. I haven't been in a council for a long time. It's nicely decorated, but the energy, same energy still here that was here when I used to come. And I'm here for two reasons. I'm here to do my job as a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother to protect the community. That's why I'm here. And I'm also here to do what my brother asked me to do on his deathbed. He was in council for years. And he asked me on his deathbed, Jan, I'm not going to make it. You got to help now. You got to take over. And that's why I'm here, to take over his job. To help my sister Mary, who worked here for 30 years with 6 chiefs. She knew this council inside and out. My sister Shin was on this council. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I'm not here to put down the council at all. I know almost every one of you, but this lady here, I don't know who she is. But everybody else I know here. So I've been here a long time, 87 years now. 87. Pretty soon. I know this community inside and out. And at one point, I knew everybody that lived here. Yeah. And I want to thank Mr. Fish for saying what he had to say. Because this is a community thing this is a community thing we're trying to resolve. It's not one person that needs to resolve it. It's the whole community. What are we waiting for, council? Are we waiting for more people to murder somebody else? Are we getting more accidents or more holdups and robberies? What are we waiting for? Come on, do something. Do something. Today, we got to do something here. You're the leaders. It's your job. You're working for us. We're the community. You're our employees, and we're asking you to do something. I can't tell you what it is, but I sat with this young woman here for 5 hours in an interview with the Hamilton Spectator. You probably read that. 5 hours we sat, and I heard the whole story. And I'm going to tell you one thing, it's not a good story. It's not a good story for the community. You know, and I'm not trying to put down any of you, you know, nobody. I'm only asking, let's do something as a community. Let's do something. Let's stop what's going on today. And you're not stopping it for me. You're stopping it for the future children, our young people. You're stopping it for the ones that aren't even born yet. The coming faces under the earth, as we say. That's who you're going to have to protect. Yeah. We shouldn't have to come here and beg you to do your job. We shouldn't have to be here tonight even. But I'm here to support these ladies that are trying to do something too. Can I hear a yay that she'll do something? Okay, thank you. Can I hear a yay?
Yeah, for sure.
That she'll try to do something? From all of you?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I know these other people are here too to support Nancy tonight. Yeah. I'm not telling you what to do because that's not my job. I'm only asking you to do something tonight, to listen to what's going to before it happens. So, you know, I just want to say Nyawa for letting me speak, for one thing. I want to say Nyawa for listening to these women because they're trying really, really hard. And I'm not going to give up. You know, people that know me know I never give up. I'm going to stick with this until something's done. Yeah. We have a list of names on this petition. I don't know how many we got, maybe 500. These are community members asking you. These are community people. They're not strangers. Yeah, at all. We're not strangers here. But we have a big petition, and that's what the community wants, and that's what we should do. Yeah. So I want to say Nyawagoa for listening to me. I hope you heard me, what I've asked. I'm going to make one recommendation tonight, that if nothing's done in the next, I'm going to say 30 days, that we have that we call a government inquiry. That we call a government inquiry to see what's going on. Yeah. Because I have been in justice now for 9 years. I know a little bit about justice. We did not have to have a cannabis committee. We did not have to have one. That was the council's decision. We didn't have to have a cannabis committee. And now I've talked to lawyers that say we can rescind that motion that started the cannabis committee. We can rescind that motion. I would rescind it myself. Stop it right now. We don't need that. We don't need that cannabis committee. And I think it said in the financial report, I don't know what page it was, but it's in there, that cannabis committee belongs to the community. It belongs to the people. So if that cannabis committee belongs to the people, we have a voice. We have a voice against it. Yes, we do. And that's what I'm saying. Rescind that motion. Let's stop it right now so we can do some good action in resolving this. This is a major issue for the whole community. Not just me, not just Nancy. It's for the whole community. For the whole community, everybody. Thank you for listening. Nyawa. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Melba?
Yeah, well, you've had the contaminated soil that has been brought here. Police were of assistance. Our community were of assistance. They stopped those trucks.
Mm-hmm.
You have the answers. The people.
Mm-hmm. That's the answer.
Chief Alan McNaughton was at a meeting across the river some years ago, and he talked about peace, power, and righteousness. Mm-hmm. And he said at the time, the power is the people. You have said it here on a couple of occasions. Jan has said the whole community. You have the answers. I think the elected council and others understand that medical marijuana can help people. Many of our people, as you know, it's probably some of your own family who use the products. So it is beneficial to the people, but not the part that is harmful, which you're talking about tonight. You talked about harm in many, many ways. That's not what it's here for. So what do you need to do? What does the community need to do? If you remember Brett Elliott, harmful, selling marijuana. And I understand from a reliable source, this is worldwide. It's big. And I talked to, you wonder why I haven't been to your place?
We have a visitor, and I'd like to introduce you to this visitor. She came all the way from Tyendinaga. She was one of the ones involved in stopping the grow up at Tyendinaga. So I'd like to introduce you to Barb Brandt. Come forward, Barb. She was she drove all the way here, and she can show you every picture that happened in Tyendinaga. So it was the people that said we had enough. We had enough of this. We're going to stop it, and they did. They stopped it, and she was one of the ones that did it.
Yeah, welcome.
Sago Skono. Great peace to each of you. I've been listening and watching, and it's like I'm watching my own community in many ways. At Tyendinaga, we cleaned house. We had to. There were very similar situations to what the women have been saying to you. There were people in the community, we did not know who they were. And they were doing their own business, you could say. So the people got together, presented council with a petition. That was the start. Upon arrest, a lot of the people were not even from our community. They were from the 401 traveling zone, Toronto, outside of Toronto. Some didn't have addresses. We didn't know who they were. But they were as well, I heard a term, bold. They were getting very bold with our people. And the time came where the grandmothers and the mothers were afraid to let their children out to play. That was it. So there were men that got together. They didn't like to hear that. So they assisted in gathering names. So you're at a critical point. I have no voice here, although I've been coming here since I was 18 years old. But I can support the ones that do. And it's taken well over half my life to be asked to speak. So you can see how long it takes to earn trust. So don't be too hard on yourself. They're trying to give you big shoulders and thick skin because that's what it's going to take if you choose not to do anything. There were people up and down the roads, all hours of the night, sitting outside people's houses in big fancy vehicles. Nobody knew who they were. They would come in, 3 or 4. They would be at a location, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Then you'd see them all come out. Who are they? And what were they doing? And where were they going? They were pretty fancy vehicles. So they were probably the bosses. So the women got together in our community, and then the men did the action, and the men were presented to council. The women sat behind them, and the men presented to council that we got to clean up. So we had voice, we used it, and the main thing why I drove here 3 hours, and I'm going to drive 3 hours back to Tyndonega after this. I have been coming to this community since I was 18. I trained 16 years under one of the grandmothers here, and an additional, I don't know how many years, under others. So I know some of your names. There's Melba. Heard a lot of stories about you, Melba. You know? So I just want to say to the gallery back here that everybody's waiting for you to do the right thing. That's what I gather from what I'm hearing back there. And I understand it was not this council that started the process of what you now have to deal with in your community. But I wish each of you well in making the decision you have to make. At Tyndonega, we did it. Normally, we look to this community for guidance because it is the largest community across Canada. But we couldn't wait. There was just too much hazard, too much safety issues at Tyndonega. And I commend our elected chief at Tyndonega for pursuing the direction of the movement of the petition to First Nations policing in our community. So I guess that's all I have to say. This family to my left, the Porters, you know, I know a lot of Porters. And they've always been a sound-minded people with the best interest of the community at heart. I guess I'll mention Grandfather Tom, Elder Tom Porter, who is here tonight, believe it or not. Hayanawi Sunguyati Wahi, Wahi Noro Konoronqua.
So all that Tyandanaga needed from the community was a yes from their council. Soon as they got the yes, the men stepped in and said, we'll take over now, and they did. So that's why I'm saying, do I hear yes from this council to allow us to help resolve this? Thank you.
So I don't think I need to introduce myself. You guys know who I am.
Do you want to just go to the mic, Brenda, so everybody can hear you? Just to the mic.
Okay. All right. So,
Thank you, Brenda.
I just want to say that I think the same thing what Danielle says, because when it comes to doing stuff like this, you are putting yourself at risk. You're putting your families at risk, and I am not suicidal, and neither is Nancy. And if we go missing, we haven't run off with anybody, and we're not doing anything like to go missing. So look for us. So I've been watching this evolve, and I've been watching Tyndonega as well, and I know that there are things that can be done. So there are things that they want and need. Well, the whole community does actually. Is that in order to really understand? I think we know how we got here, but provide copies of documents, agreements, licenses today to the people who are here, but also en masse to the community. The Six Nations cannabis law and accompanying documents, because those are public documents that we should have access to, and they've been removed from the website. So you can't, I downloaded one when it was available, and we gave it to these girls. But everybody in the community is supposed to have access to it. It should not, even if it's under review, it still should be out there. It's public information. We live in a democratic, free society. We should have access to this information. It should not be gone anywhere. Also, so when I was in school, I studied the Indian Act and all its processes and requirements, and mainly I was looking at it for the genocidal and oppressive practices in regards to deliberate to our people. So one of the things that I also learned at that time, outside of what I wanted to learn, was that there's a process in place. And I know at the time, and I asked it then, when did Band Council become a self-governing body, self-governing, or have a treaty agreement, a modern treaty agreement with Canada or the government, federal government, to be able to make laws. The Indian Act says you can only make bylaws, and then that has to go be approved, seen by the Minister of Indigenous Services. So I'd like a copy. I think the whole community deserves a copy of the letter, the modern treaty agreement or self-governing agreement that Band Council, Six Nations Band Council has to make laws. Because matrimonial real property and cannabis law are not gone through that process that can be verified. We should all know that. If we've got that, we should be celebrating. There was never any celebration. So that's one of the requirements that, in order to make a law, that a band council has to have that a modern treaty, or it's called a self-governing treaty. So without that, what these guys are doing, what the Cannabis Commission did, it's illegal. It has no credibility. So these guys, anybody that has cannabis or whatever, there's not sanctioned by the province. And this is why I say that I don't want to go missing, is because it's not on the open market. It's on the black market. And the black market is a criminal market. And I was at a conference last January. This is exactly what they talked about. And they said, it's coming. It was in BC. It's coming here. Don't. And it took what? Was it January? Well, it started before then. But anyways, so another thing, so the cannabis law and accompanying regulations, the modern treaty, similarly to what Nunavut has. They have self-governing, they're self-governing now. They can make their own laws and all this stuff. They don't have to go through the minister. So the documents and meeting minutes of community consultation regarding cannabis being accepted in our community. Because back in the day when there was a motion, Band Council's great idea of putting, of having a brewery at the Oneida Business Park, that went to the community. And the community said resoundingly no. And that was the last time our community was asked. It didn't, the brewery didn't happen, obviously, but you ask, but because you got to know, maybe, I don't know why you didn't ask, or if there is documents, we'd like to see those documents and the meeting minutes. Who was all in attendance at that community consultation about cannabis being allowed in our community. This is about transparency. You're doing what you're doing, but yet we're in the dark about it. We don't know. Where's the proof? And then like a copy of, again, this is public information of Legacy Farms business plan, their project. We want to know if they are in compliance with their business plan, or it seems some people have indicated that it's bigger than what their business plan said. So they're violating it, even though it's illegal, they're still violating it. And like their business plans and their license to operate. I'd like a copy of all of that. Yeah, and according to section 92.1, they've never had a fence or like a physical barrier. That's just one thing that we can see based on, there's probably more. And then there is, yes, the emergency measures of like what happened with the flooding at Oneida Business, or sorry, at Iroquois Lodge. There was no environmental impact study done. Where's, or if there was, where is it? You guys should have been given it. The commission should have been given it. You should have been given it. The community should have been given it. Where's that environmental impact assessment? We saw the outcome. Now our elders are living outside of our community. Then there's wastewater. There's wells, damage to people's wells. Like there's all this destruction that's happening because of this. The term for that is, it's called negligence. Due diligence wasn't done. We have requirements for the outside world to accommodate, to inform us. What about our own people accommodating and informing us? Why don't we matter? We expect the outside world to respect us. What about our own people respecting us? That's not happening. So the risks of this community, the community members, like we already know there's risk. How many people this year? Anybody get the police reports about updates on how many people have been killed, like shot this year, found dead, beaten, like violent deaths in our community? How many is there? Does anybody know? How many? Does anybody know? There's a lot. A lot, like some of my family members, my friends, children, stuff like that. But so what I'm hearing, and I know as a fact, is that without documentation, without legitimacy, we're all at risk.
Our every member in this community's well-being, health, safety, and security, which is your responsibility, has been compromised. And then we're looking at again, Nancy said that, how is Band Council's actions or inactions or omissions demonstrating that you care for the well-being, health, security of our people, of your community? What are you showing us? What are your actions? Actions speak louder than words. So I mentioned the word negligence, and it says that political negligence refers to a government or public authority's failure to exercise a reasonable standard of care in its actions, inactions, or omissions regarding its operational decisions, which can and has led to harm to private citizens. Band Council has the duty of care of Six Nations band members. So like Melba had said, the power is the people, but the responsibility is the leadership. And that's what we're asking, is for you to uphold your responsibilities that you sit here with. That's what we're asking for. Like the Indian Act, Section 81, 85-1, like it all outlines what you have to do and that you require proof or approval. There's a process to follow the process and to get approval to enact these laws. And without that, it's not protected within the criminal code and therefore not enforceable. All band bylaws, regardless of process, must be consistent with the Indian Act and the criminal code. And if it's not been, if we're, and only governments with modern treaties or self-governing agreements have the authority to make their own laws without the influence or overseeing of Indian affairs. Do we have that? Like, I'd like to see it. So again, Barb pointed out exactly what you need to do, and it's taking the targets off of her back, her family's back, take the distress away, and shoulder the responsibility of doing something, doing similarly to what Tyndonega did, because it's dangerous living here.
Now it feels like it's better us than you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that? We were better you than me. Better us than you. We'll sacrifice the people here. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 families. We'll sacrifice them, but we'll still be safe. We won't speak up. We won't do anything. We'll be safe. But you're better them, better me than any of you sitting here having to make that hard decision.
Has any of you ever went outside and you could feel someone staring at you? Like, has that ever happened to you? You go walk to your car from the grocery store and you feel someone looking at you? That happens to me every night when I go bring my dogs in. I can't see in a back corner. There are people there. Nancy actually got pictures of people looking at my house with lights from that corner to my house. I'm asking you to do something. Not have another meeting.
Yeah.
Not write another letter, because I'm asking you to do something. What if I wake up tomorrow? Or what if I don't? Then that's on your shoulders, because I'm asking you, and I've been asking you for help. And I am afraid.
Dave wants to speak. And then, okay.
Good evening. I'm going to try to do a summary, but there has been so much said tonight that's right on the spot. And thank you, Roy, for some of the words that you gave. You may be wrong about this, but there's one level above the chiefs. It's the people. I mean, I'm talking about the governance, the clan mothers. The clan mothers, they don't. Yep. The people have the last to say. That's good. Yeah. That's good, because that's where I'm gonna go. Jan said something, but I'm gonna say it very succinctly. Referendum. You need to develop and set a date for a referendum, because the strength comes in all of our communities. I remember one of our members speaking at a large gathering of the AFN in British Columbia, and she talked about the individual, the community, and the nations. And we've got all of our people afraid. I can sense it in all of you. I have it in me. You all have grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I just had a new great-grandchildren, so I think that gives me 10 great-grandchildren, so I'm old. So referendum. The next one I'm going to put on the list, because people have been saying this in my ear, and you know the history. The events that have happened across, I'm going to start with the nicest ones first. I was to court every time the Haida Nation went to court. And I was there when they won, and they rejoiced. They wanted the rights to their land back because non-Indigenous people were coming in and raping the lands, taking all the trees off of there, destroying the environment, which had an effect on the oceans. The other one that I had a chance to deal with was the SNGREC out of Alberta. They lost their court case, but they put on a heck of a battle. But the one thing that they did, and it's been said here tonight, they sent out a monthly update on everything that was going on, what was happening in the courts. The government of the day, they had two people working for them. One guy knew the Cree language. He studied the Cree language. And, you know, like the lawyer for the SNGREC said, if this man had another few months to learn the language, he would be dangerous. So all the tools are out there. The most chilling thing that's been said to me in the last few months, and you've all heard of it, you've heard of Oka. Mm-hmm. What our people did to protect the pines from being cut down to become a golf course. You compare that to what's happening just down the street. This is 1,000 times more immense than what happened at Oka. But the reason they brought this up, they brought it up because they said, anything happens down in the Six Nations, you know what? The Canadian Army is going to be there. And you know better, Roy, how to say the covenant chain. But the way it was explained to me is that covenant chain, it joins two figures. One is the crown, one is the Haudenosaunee people. And when one needed something or wanted something of the other, they would shake the chain, and the other one, you know, might respond or not respond. I'm talking about the British or English or whatever you call them. But whenever they shook the chain, we responded. We did everything we could through the Revolutionary Wars, through the War of 1812. But after that was all done, they forgot about us. But that doesn't put Kearney, that doesn't take Kearney out of this mess. Yeah. It doesn't take him out of it, because if we shake that chain and we point on him, just because it left England doesn't mean you don't still have the responsibility. Because in 1982 they accepted the Constitution and they still have those treaty rights. So there's a whole bunch that's going on. That's the other thing that I need to share with you is keep on talking to other First Nations across this country. Keep talking to them. And the other group that I would talk to internationally is what's happening in the States. Nancy brought a really great video. You probably saw it with this one. Did they get the?
Katerina?
Yes. And she walked on that site and she saw exactly what was happening. Exactly. And
David, the ring of fire.
the Ring of Fire. You know what happened there, and all with all the other people who had it was mentioned already. Comprehensive land claims is what they were called. Yeah. Comprehensive land claims. It had part of the self-government agreement and self-governance, and it sounded good, but it wasn't great for a lot of. So when these self-governance agreements were all signed, the ink wasn't even dry, and they were making deals with international consortiums. And the Ring of Fire, I can't remember the name of the diamond people and all that, but they were pulling millions and millions, if not billions and billions, out of their, to sell. So we got some services to provide. I forget the name that you called it. I think it begins with a P or something. But it's sad to say that we still get treated like we're nobody. So, but we have to take a stand. We have to take a stand as nations. And Roy said one thing to me before I come up here, that we, our elected council, our traditional council, have to start working together. They have to. I'm not going to let you off the hook on that one. You have to start working.
Keep bugging
And
them.
January 14th, day was tense. I had to go for a walk. I went down to Sundrum, it was called. I'm walking out there, and the owner comes out and said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm just going for a walk." "Where's your golf clubs?" "Not golfing today." So he gave me 2 golf clubs and about 4 balls, and just hit them, but don't go on the greens. And during that walk, I got a call, and I recognized the voice. It was one of the traditional chiefs. And I've had a lot of traditional people on this territory. They would say, "Dave, you only got in as chief because we voted you in."
Sherry Lynn, I'll go with you to a council meeting at Onondaga.
I'll go with you too.
Okay, sounds good, because I'll talk to you about it. I'll tell you, because I don't want to spread no rumors or nothing, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Yeah. So that's basically all I've got to say, just summing up a lot of things, but set that date for the referendum. Get information out, because everybody needs to know. Everybody on this territory is tense. They don't want to see anything drastic happen. These are the 2 bravest women that I know. Incredible ladies. The Creator's looking out after them. And the place is going to go over there. I just sense that. Because nobody wants the difficulty for the next year, next 4 years. It would be ludicrous to see that continue to happen, because if you allow that to grow, somebody else is going to come in on another part of the territory and do the same thing. And you need to talk to your MPP. You're right. Because it's not just going to happen here. It's on our territory. Yeah. The 6 miles deep, that tract, it's ours. It's for nobody else's development. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is, I mentioned the covenant chain. The one that's important to me is the dish with 1 spoon. And that treaty is like 324 years old.
And it's never been broken, ever.
As an artist, I took liberties with it and I broke it. I broke it in parts because it has to be put together with people, because you know yourself that it wasn't just the indigenous tribes who worked at it.
Right.
if there were non-indigenous people come in and they could follow the principles and agree to do that, you know, take only what you need from the land.
But you know, it's not just the Haldeman tract we own right from the, Mexican, what is it? Mexico, right to Alaska.
The indigenous people,
Yeah.
not just us, you know.
Only.
Yeah.
Human beings.
We have to.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I'll get out of here, but just those things. The referendum and making sure that you keep in communication with every level of government, right from your MPPs right through to the PM's office. Start to get on a lot of their agendas. Now we go.
Thank you. Go ahead, Nancy.
We just have a list that Brendan wrote up that we would like the copies of. I think there was 5 things. She's just writing them on a piece of paper.
We can always give them after, right? Give them to you after? Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, this is our petition. We started before the May of this year. We have signatures, the people that want to, you know, we have to do something with this. We have, the main thing is the one down the road from us. And I know there's gonna be a lot of fallout. That's a definite. We know that that's gonna be the biggest problem. They're dug in deep back there, deep. Changed our waterways, flooded us out. That has to be 99% of why we got flooded. It never happened my whole life. My mother never seen it. She's been here for 82 years. She didn't see that ever happen. So we have just under 500 signatures. I want to present it with you today. And if need be that we have to come in again and speak with you, we're always willing. We extended our hand before, and we will again to take care of this. If any time, you know, just call us. Me and Danielle can come in and speak with you on whatever information we have. We always said we'd come in and share with you what was going on. And I don't know if it was because the lawyer stopped, whatever. Like, I don't know the political game. It's not my part of this. My part of this is just bringing our information. And I hope that it stops soon. Sherilyn, please. We have to take care of this. We have to have action. And if we present it here today, and our petition, so what will we get back from you? Will we get back your word that we'll take a look at this and get this looked after? Something like a deadline? Would you be able to present a deadline of anything? Of any?
Because we were here back in, well, I wasn't here, but in June you were here, and there was some questions that were asked, and you were going to pass something over to the commission and then get the answers back, and it's December, and I think the deadline you left was July 2nd or
July
something,
1st,
or
I
1st.
think.
But that's why,
But,
like,
you know, that's not even an issue now. The issue is it's gotten bad. You know, I can't stress it enough. It's just way out of hand. Can I ask you, do you notice that? Do you notice that on the reserve, how it got out of control, and it got out of control fast? Like, now we're on the other side. The page is turned. The crop's gone through everything. And there was still no let up. I thought, you know, for sure some of them would leave, do something, but it doesn't seem like it.
what about those kids?
So I have the petition, and we have online. There's 279 online, and then these here. Yeah, total of,
460. So the pollution, again, just to summarize it, is there's noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution that we want all investigated. We want to know who's regulating it and who's enforcing it. They also took their fence down in the front on Fourth Line, so there is absolutely the only fence they left up is the one right behind Nancy. That's the only part. The rest of it's gone. Um, yeah, there's those the pollutions, the environment, the wastewater. We can follow up with you with what Ministry of Environment says with that report.
yes.
Okay.
A copy it and give it back to you,
Okay.
just so you have a copy, just to
Alright.
make sure.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. So what, would you have to discuss this now privately amongst you and, could you give us a timeline? Could you give us something that, are we gonna go back home and have to deal with this some more? And I know we're gonna get some follow. But, I'm sure that a call to the police they could come and just make sure that things are, they know that they're right there and, that we don't want any, again, I stressed over and over, I don't want this to get out of hand back there. And again, every place we called, every place, you have the authority. You all have the authority to bring in who needs to come and do what they have to do to take care of this. That was the answer. That was like we asked. And that was what they gave me was, did you get in touch with your elected band council? So you have the authority.
We've called the Six Nations Police, the OPP, the RCMP, AFN coup. We've came here. We went to Chiefs and Clan Mothers twice. We went a few times to everywhere. Every person, every department, ISK, federal government, MPs, it all says go to your elected band council, even just to do the simple air quality. We're calling because it wasn't getting done. You got to go to your band council. So everywhere we look, it comes back here. And we were told, like we were going to come to the band council a few months ago. And I guess word of mouth got out. It said, well, you've already told the band that everything that you can. It's almost like you are sick of listening to us. And it's a little disappointing and frustrating because we have to live there. So if you could give us a deadline that can be met, and who will respond to whom?
Thank you for coming and sharing. Like I said, she's just getting the photocopied, and this is what looking for this for. Okay. Also, oh, that's okay. Yeah. So yes, we'll meet on it, and I'll get back to you. Just reach out to me, and yeah, we'll go from there.
You'll reach out to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
By when?
If I can get it
Can
all
we record?
together.
Just
If I can get it all together.
right.
Oh, probably soon.
Soon,
Like, to meet,
yes, please.
And, yeah.
Like by December the 10th?
By when? Sorry.
December 10th?
December 10th.
I don't know what day it is. This is the number that popped in my head. It's like 2 weeks from now, probably, right?
Yeah, give us that at least.
Can I ask you one thing, Sherilyn?
Yeah.
So everything that we were giving, like the who can take care of this,
Mm-hmm.
like who has the power. You do have the power, right? you do have that authority. You're the authority, you're the governing body, so you have that authority to go to where it's need be to take care of what's going on here. Could could you could we just say you know, just if you could just recognize that, because it helps me understand things more. That's the only thing. Like when I was talking to my mother about this, when I come down to see, and I said, I'm just gonna ask, can you explain, what, how do we live with this, continue living with it? If you say you're gonna take care of looking into it, that would be, a little bit I could take back to her, just a little bit. Okay,
That's what we'll do for sure.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
take that back to her for
Thank
sure.
you, sorry for
Again,
keeping you up so
that's
late.
okay. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming in.
Yep.
And Sherry, can I say something?
Yep, go ahead, Audrey.
Thank you very much for coming in, and wanted to let you know, speaking for myself, I'm not tired of hearing from you. I appreciate everything that you bring into us and the community as well, because it's putting this whole big puzzle together. But I also want to say it isn't just council's responsibility, it's everybody on this reserve's responsibility. It's time for everybody to stand up together and support, lead, support, and take care of one another. That's how we protect one another, through unity. And we do need it, the traditional government working with us. And we got to put that political stuff aside and take care of our people. Yeah.
Thanks, Nancy. Yep.
As they're gonna start doing something about the grow up, could we have a motion?
If any of you want to sign the online petition, it's online. Nancy, you got a copy of the thing as well, but the people are speaking, and they're trying to utilize the process that is in place here, which is you go to your leadership who is responsible for that. You guys make the phone calls. They're not going to listen to us. Obviously, they haven't been listening, and they've been telling her, go back, go to your council. So it is, and people are, yeah, people are talking.
On that petition.
Thank you.
Want something to know tomorrow, they said. So I'm asking the bandits of you.
Was the Haudenosaunee Confederacy Council has issued a statement about this, and that they are not in support of cannabis. So that's their.
Okay. Thanks again. Okay, let's go to number 9. Just what I said to I talked to Nancy that we were going to meet, and we'll discuss, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. Yeah. Before, yeah. Yep. I'll make sure. Put in a motion that we'll meet for. We can get that respond. We can do that. Let's do a motion that will respond back to. We'll get in touch with you, Nancy, regarding the situation, the cannabis grow up on 4th Line by December 10th. That was just a date she threw out to get back to you. Is there a mover for that? Moved by Audrey, second by Dean. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Waive second reading. Moved by Audrey, second by Dean. All in favor? Nobody opposed? Yes, we'll get back to you for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, yes. Well, okay. Yeah, yes. No, we got, all right, we got a few more to go here. Okay, let's go to recommendation, number 9, recommendation from the community committee. This is to approve the Six Nations of the Grand River Parks and Recreation Department unsolicited public amenity proposal policy. Ooh, that was a mouthful. Therefore be resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River elected council approve the unsolicited public amenity proposal policy authorized by the Six Nations of the Grand River Parks and Recreation Department to implement the policy and require all future unsolicited proposals to follow the defined review and approval process. Moved by Dale, second by Dean. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Waive second reading on 9-1. Moved by Dean, second by Dale. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 10, recommendation from the Data Governance Committee, moved by Amos Key and second by Greg Fraser, that the Data Governance Committee recommends to the Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council that the Data Governance Committee meet every other month starting January 2026. Is there a mover? Oh, it's already been moved. That's okay. Amos, Greg? Yes. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Oh, comment? Go ahead.
I think if we're making this resolution, then you should also state the fact that you'll amend your terms of reference and your mandate. So, and then, just so that it becomes an official record of your committee policy.
Add that to it. Is that okay? Amendments, yep. Yep. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Can we go to number 11, updates from the committees? Data Governance Committee? Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, so just from the recommendation, it'd be best if we do meet every other month, considering that if none of the issues are considerably, pressing, we don't need to really meet every month just to meet. There's better ways so we can spend our time more efficiently. What we do want to recommend, and one of the presentations that we do want to bring forward here from Zach and the data governance team, is going to be on the next recommendation coming forward on 11, well, on the agenda here, about the ethics committee and the research ethics committee, excuse me, and some of the information that they're going to be sharing with us in the community. Also, how much work has been done since its inception. So I'd like them to have the rest of the time, excuse me, to present.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
Okay, Sego, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to present an update for community on the work of the Six Nations of the Grand River Research Ethics Committee. As you may remember, this was established back in March of last year by council resolution. And it's just, we've been trying to get things better organized than that before we were able to provide an update. I'm Dr. Zach Miller. I'm the Executive Director of Data Analytics and Insights for the organization. And then you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Rachel Van Every, and I'm the Community Research Coordinator with the Data Analytics and Insights team. Okay. Um, all right. Well, thank you for your time today on today's agenda. We appreciate the opportunity to share an update on behalf of the Research Ethics Committee and the current research occurring in the community. Our presentation will cover the following items. Next slide, please. It's okay. So the members will provide an update on the members of the Research Ethics Committee, overview of the research ethics submission process. We'll share information about our new CAIU software program, provide you with the current state of research in our community, improvements to the ethics submission process, our direction and pathway forward, and the impact of our Research Ethics Committee. So the Research Ethics Committee is responsible for ensuring that all research involving the community is ethical, respectful, and culturally safe. Guided by the Six Nations Research Ethics Policy and the Terms of Reference, the Research Ethics members ensure that researchers comply with the First Nations Indigenous Governance Center OCAP principles, which stand for ownership, control, access, and possession, as well as in compliance with the national guidelines known as the Tri-Council Policy 2 statement. The members of the Research Ethics Committee include Dr. Zachary Miller, who is our Research Ethics Chair. Myself, I'm a non-voting position as the Community Research Coordinator. We have Sarah Curley-Smith, who is the Senior Manager of Environment, Dr. Michelle Bomberry, who represents as a community member, Justine Bomberry-Henhock, who represents as a representative of Six Nations of the Grand River Post-Secondary Education Office. We have Taylor Gibson, who is a senior researcher with Deohage Indigenous Knowledge Center at Six Nations Polytechnic. We also have Amber Sky, who represents Six Nations Polytechnic, and Monica Young, who is our policy analyst. Recent months have focused on strengthening the submission ethics process, increasing transparency, and aligning research projects with community priorities. Next slide, please. So the research ethics policy and application was developed in consultation with the University of Toronto, moving towards a structured, risk-based ethical review process. The ethics process consists of 5 key steps, starting with coordinated community engagement, moving to the protocol writing stage through CAIUS. Next, we then facilitate the protocol screening. Then we move on to either a full board review or a delegated review. And then we have the final decision process. Approved projects receive an official ethics clearance letter signed by our chair, and expectations regarding reporting, data storage, annual updates, notice of amendments, any adverse events reporting, publication request, and final reports. This process is designed to balance the research needs with the protection of community interest and capacity. These steps ensure that all projects are assessed consistently and comply with our data governance policy. Next slide, please. So to manage the full ethics review and submission process, we are now utilizing CAIUS, which is a online cloud-based system administrative platform designed to streamline, manage, and support the entire research lifecycle. It is widely used by academic institutions, healthcare organizations, and nonprofits. It's also designed for researchers, administrators, and ethics compliance officers. CAIUS manages various types of research submissions. It streamlines document collection, allows researchers to review committee, reviewer comments, and approvals. It also allows for tracking and status updates throughout the life cycle. So our research ethics application consists of 8 sections. The first section includes acknowledgement of the researcher reviewing the research ethics policy, as well as certification and training with the OCAP principles, as well as the Tri-Council policy guideline. The second section is the section where the researchers share their information of their affiliations, as well as if they've identified a Six Nations of the Grand River collaborator so that they can have full access to the CAIUS program and review the application throughout. The third section is a yes or no and short answer question. This is where researchers identify their participants, any safety, risk, benefits, and their methodology. The fourth section is a community engagement section where researchers can share how they have engaged with the the community and ensured that community input is throughout their research projects. The fifth section is a long answer section where researchers share their research aims, how research will address Six Nations priorities, their consent process, confidentiality process, if they identified any coercion, and if there's any knowledge keeper or elder involvement. The sixth section is a research data management and ownership section where researchers are really demonstrating their compliance with the OCAP principles. The seventh section is our risk assessment tool. It is a tool that is utilized by University of Toronto. It is a 3-point scale which determines risk based on the size of the research team and the sensitivity of the research project. And then the eighth section is a section for all the research documents that pertain to the application, which can include the letter of information, the consent forms, any recruitment materials, their letter of support, or any other documents that will support their application. So as of 2023, we had a total of 41 studies at various stages in our ethics process. Next slide, please. Currently, we have 18 active studies. We do expect this number to go down as some of these studies have been completed and we are waiting for the items to be returned to our committee before we close their file. We have 13 studies currently in exploratory phase, which means that they are co-developing the research with community or identifying a community stakeholder for their project. We do expect 2 of these studies to be under review by the Research Ethics Committee in the coming weeks. And of the 41 studies, we have seen 10 studies be completed and 4 publications that have resulted from these studies. Next slide, please. So we have sorted studies according to the priorities outlined in the community plan. At this time, we are seeing an increased number of requests from community organizations, universities, and health care organizations. Many of these projects focus on well-being, Mother Earth, and culture. Many of these while these are important, we continue to see significant gaps in research that supports built environment, such as housing and infrastructure, community wellness, such as recreation, safety, and emergency services, and governance, both in terms of unity and justice. So on the screen, I've highlighted some current research spotlights that we want to just share with you all. The first study, so these are all studies that are in exploratory phase. They have all identified a community partner. The first study is titled Equity Focused Implementation of a Family-Centered Intervention Within Extensive Service Needs. This study is being led by Jeffrey McCrossan of McMaster University in partnership with the Department of Wellbeing. A second study is titled HER, which stands for Healthy Egalitarian Relationships. It is a partnership project with community living that is being led by Anna P. at Nipissing University and Stephanie Anderson. The third study is titled Leveraging AI for Indigenous Learners. This study is led by community, Six Nations Polytechnic, and the researchers are Lisa Dietrich, Sarah General, and Bob Henry. And we have the fourth study, which is titled Indigenous Labor Market Initiative. This study is being led by Jordan Myers and Aaron Mentor at Grand River Employment and Training, Inc. And they also are being supported by Stephanie Joy Stiers of Marketplace Solutions, Inc. This slide. So on the slide, we have 2 studies at the top that are currently active. They have recently received ethics approval, and they've identified a community partner for their project. The first study is led by William Fox, who is a professor at Trent University. He is working in partnership with the Woodland Cultural Center, and his project is titled Beaver Tales and Flint Nappers of Iroquois. The second study is titled Midwives' Mental Health Learning Needs, being led by Ryan Van Lyshout at McMaster University. This project is in partnership with the Birthing Center. And then the bottom 2 publications are completed studies, which have been completed by our community members, so we wanted to highlight them and also congratulate them. The first one is Melissa Elliott, who completed her master's at McMaster University. Her study is titled, or her dissertation is titled, Haudenosaunee Women's Experiences of Healing from Sexual Violence. And we would also like to congratulate Dr. Michelle Baumberry, who completed her doctoral degree at Brock University. Her study is titled We Learn from the Earth. And then next slide. On this slide, I wanted to highlight the 4 publications that resulted from the studies that have been approved to our ethics committee. The first one is was led by Dr. Dawn Martin Hill and Hilary Monteith. This was part of her Oneganos water project. And a second study publication that resulted from this work is titled Performance Assessment of Peat-Based Advanced Treatment Devices in 6 Nations of the Grand River. This study was authored by Colin Gibson and was also in partnership with 6 Nations Public Works, specifically Michael Mentor and Steve Lickers. And then on the right, we have 2 studies falling within the well-being category. The study titled Pre-Testing Parenting Instruments with Indigenous Fathers and Two-Spirit Parents, a qualitative study that's led by Dr. Amy Wright. And then a 4th publication that's recent. It's currently going through the review process before it's finally published. It's being led by Dr. Grant Bruno. And the title is Exploring the Experiences of First Nations Caregivers of Autistic Children in Canada, a qualitative community-based participatory research study. Next slide, please. So we identified several areas where the ethics submission process could be clear, particularly around community engagement and alignment of research projects between community and researchers. And so one major improvement is strengthening the early stage engagement process. So before a proposal moves into full ethics review, research teams now work with community stakeholders to co-develop their projects. We've also built in an additional step in the ethics application to confirm whether a proposed project aligns with community plan and priorities. And we've established relationships and communication pathways with numerous university research ethics boards across Ontario to both streamline and coordinate our ethics processes. We've also improved monitoring and management of the research lifecycle with our Cayuse platform. So this includes clear guidelines for applicants, shorter review times, and more opportunities for community input, as well as mandatory implementation of OCAP principles, publication requests, and data governance plans. Next slide, please. So to date, we have met with 12 university research ethics boards in Ontario. Some of these university boards have supported us in working with their Indigenous faculty and ethics committees that they are also developing. And so all the universities that are in the black font are the universities we've developed these communication pathways with, and we will continue to engage with the remaining universities which we have not yet met.
I think for us it's been really encouraging as we've been going out and meeting with these different universities just to see the sort of reciprocal aspects of it, of them actually wanting to work with us and seeing that they're excited to do this sort of reconciliation work, you could say, in a way, in the research space, because we know our people have been over-researched, you could say, and especially at 6 Nations where we have such a high population, the highest population in Canada. A lot of researchers want to come here because we have a large sample size, because we have such a large population in community. So we've tried to establish this whole system so that we can protect our people better from all the research that's coming in, and trying to ensure the best we can with our committee that our people aren't being exploited through research or grants or the ideas of an academic or whatever. Like, we're trying to find ideas that we hope in the future would be able to benefit our community, and be able to give back to community as well. And our sort of purpose of reaching out with these university research ethics board is try to create some accountability as well, so that if we have researchers that we're working with through the application process, that if they're not wanting to abide by it or trying to get around it, we now have this accountability mechanism where we can go back to their research ethics board at their universities and hold them to account on that way. So we've been really, this process has been really beneficial for us in working with the, as you can see, the various universities now across the province. Next slide.
So as we move forward with the intended improvements to the research ethics submission process, the Research Ethics Committee will continue to strengthen community engagement, protect community knowledge and interests, and ensure researchers commit to capacity building and partnerships. Our direction is to ensure that all research begins with clarity, aligns with our community priorities, mobilizes knowledge, and respects our data governance standards. Next slide, please. So our enhanced research ethics process has strengthened community voice in research, and has also removed barriers in participation, while ensuring our community remains informed and research is done in a way that reflects our values, safeguards our knowledge, and delivers meaningful benefits to our community. The impact of these updates is improved efficiency and oversight. We have clearer pathways for early engagement, stronger standards for ethical review, and better alignment with our community plan. We know that without data and research, community planning and decision making is often done by default. And with research and data, we can create positive change together to ensure our people enjoy a healthy, content, safe, and self sustaining diverse community with the knowledge and guidance of our Haudenosaunee values, which is our mission here at the Six Nations Elected Council. I welcome questions, feedback, and discussions from Chief and Council and community on how we can continue to strengthen our process together. Now.
Well, thank you for that. That's it's amazing. It's great work. Mm-hmm. To be able to have the data and all the research projects. It's nice to see the process, I guess, for it. It's good. Go ahead, Audrey.
Well, I just want to say that that was amazing. We started 10 years ago when we came into council, and people would do this research, and we'd say, well, what's it about? Council would ask, and then you'd get maybe 2 or 3 sentences, and what it was all about, who was going to use it, how was it going to be used, and it was very, very, how would you say, very low level of of asking them what they were doing and having somebody hold them accountable. So it grew from there and grew and grew, and I just am blown away by the level of sophistication that it's at right now. And I commend you and your team for that. But I do have one question. That question is the community able to read some of this research and able to use some of the research? Like one of the things that are interesting to me is that what about the male parenting? Like that would be really interesting. So, and how do you know when these are finished so that they're able to be accessed by the community?
Yeah, those are all great questions. We've been trying to figure out a way. We've been requiring all studies to provide back either their full publications or at least an abstract so we can understand what were the results of the study that they put in place. Our hope is in sort of the long term, we got to figure out the logistics with that, with our communications department, the website, et cetera. But we hope that we could have some place, at least on the website for now, where these studies could be accessed. We're obviously aware that that could create some risk as well too if external bodies or industries or whatever start using our data to exploit us again. So ideally what we would like to see is whether it's a membership portal or something along that lines where community members could then log in, access things about whether it's the organization or engagement, but also to access research as well too that's incurred in community. Again, so it's specific for community members' eyes, and it doesn't need to be the world that's seeing it when it's on the website like that, right? So we want to be able to, as best we can, to be able to give back to community with all this information that's essentially being gathered about us, right? Yeah.
Dale?
Zach, I was wondering within the guidelines, I guess I know it's this whole research thing has kind of grown up from what it used to be years ago. But is there a guideline to say who's ever doing the research that there has to be a Six Nations connecting? Should they have a Six Nations on their research team, or if they're just totally non-Six Nations, they don't come? Is there guidelines like that that would restrict individuals from coming to do research here?
Yeah, so we require right off the bat the process that Rachel was explaining earlier. They have to have some sort of community connection to come in place, and we have turned back studies as well too that haven't. I know we had just turned back even in the past month, a researcher trying to come in to do a study about I think it was about culture or history or something, and we denied the application because they didn't have a community partner. They didn't word their research questions correctly, etc. So we have rejected studies as well too. And I think it just, again, it goes back to the committee that we now have. Like we've all been trained. We're working, like I'm done my PhD, Rachel's working on hers. We got Michelle Bomberry, like we've been well educated now and we're trying to get back to community in this way by protecting our community from the research that's happening.
No, I just want to say thank you for that. I mean, when it's really good that we can get this to the community and get their eyes on this to see what everything that's been done. I know the presentation at the committee level was just as good too. So I really appreciate the work and thank you for having the presentation and coming in today. um, I think that's going to be everything from the update from the Data Governance Committee.
Okay, thank you. So therefore be resolved that the Data Governance Committee recommends that Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council to accept the presentation from the Six Nations Research Ethics Committee as information. Moved by Audrey, second by Dean. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none? Carried. Also, the Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council accept the verbal report of the Data Governance Committee by the chair as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Melba, second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none? Carried. Thank you. Let's go to number 2, Unity Building, External Government Relations and Justice Committee. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Just a few items, a couple of updates, and just an update to start with Tim Bucci and Sarah, of course, with the waste management bylaw. It's in final draft. It's going to come through committee and then right to council. So it is in its final form. So we're going to be doing that fairly soon. And we like to thank the community for their feedback on that issue. So yes, that will be coming back to council for final ratification. Also, just like to note that we did have a representative at the coup meeting dealing with policing and by law enforcement. That was Tim Bucci, was able to attend that meeting. And of course, with the new Ontario policy agreement, there was concerns that the consideration for First Nation bylaws and adequate support in terms of enforcement and prosecution were brought up. And I think then that's a big issue. And I think they're going to be pushing forward to make sure that the Ontario policing agreement can somehow make amendments or include that. A little bit of other governance housekeeping with respect to our operations and participation in the movement of Iroquois caucus issues. As we discussed at a previous meeting, that we're trying to streamline some of the minor and also or time-sensitive issues that they can come directly to council before we can get an expedite decision on those issues. Lastly, of course, it's there's going to be a gathering of community members, department heads, not necessarily department heads, but people that are interested in the community, as we're going to try to look towards setting up a core group that will be looking into establishing an Aboriginal community safety planning initiative. There is funding for that. And of course, it's going to be looking at different issues within the community that require a certain planning in terms of safety for our community members. And of course, we'll be using community engagement in that. There'll be 2 days of lectures and presentations. We'll be starting this Thursday and Friday. I know Tim Bucci will be there in attendance as well as myself. And then, of course, we'll get back to the community on more explanation on that plan, how it operates, what's involved, and of course, what's involved in terms of community support and engagement. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, so recommendation 11.3, the Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council accept the verbal report by the Unity Building External Government Relations and Justice Committee Chair as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Dean, second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 3, Community Committee. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Chief. So there's been a lot of travel and stuff happening lately in council, but we did have a couple of meetings, one meeting, sorry, with the community committee. One of the major updates is just the reallocation of the fire and emergency services money that are going towards the vehicle fleet improvements. So purchases of new vehicles, purchases of the Brandon, purchases of the lights, and I know that has already came to the council for approval. Um, Other than that, I can leave it to my co-chair if there's anything else to update on. If not, that's everything on the meeting.
Go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, no, pretty well everything that was discussed at the committee has pretty well been on council's agenda already, so they've been approved and processed already, so. But we can jump to 4 if, or after you accept these as information, I guess.
Okay. So Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council accept the verbal report by the Community Committee Chair as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Dale, second by Greg. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 4, Built Environment, Climate Adaptation, Lands and Membership Committee. Go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, again, same here, like a lot of the stuff that we had on our agenda were presented, like I know, Crystal and Shane were here and did a big presentation on what was discussed at the committee in regards to some of the proposals they had sent in and we had post-approved. I think, the only other thing, we had an update in regards to, Highway 54 and Cheesewood / Pauline Johnson Road. So right now, in regards to, the work that's being done, they're gonna go back and now look at some of the cost factors in relation to what it's gonna cost to do that. I know there's a little bit of land involved in the area that may be required, but I know it ain't gonna be a lot of land to allow for the roundabout. I know there were some questions in regards to the size on being able to support the bigger vehicles, and everything was in compliance. So now we were pretty content with what they had talked about, and now they're gonna go back and look at getting a thorough design and looking at the thorough costs on what it would take to put in place. I know when they do it, they're making plans to ensure the flow of traffic. So that's one of the big things and big questions that was put forward by the committee. The only other thing too, and I apologize for that, I didn't look, I know Derek usually supplies a report on all his capital projects, so I'll have to go online. I know, I forget where he sends it, I don't know if it's in Teams, and I know last time I tried to print it out and I had difficulty, so I'm gonna see if I can get him to email it to me directly, and then I'll circulate that to council on all the capital projects.
Thank you. Go ahead, Audrey.
When they did the flow of traffic, did they take into consideration 10,000 people coming in onto the reserve for powwows, for the fair, for bread and cheese, etc.?
They did make comments on that because there might be some anomalies like that of the heavy traffic flow, which such as the powwow, and they even talked a little bit about the racing on Friday nights and stuff. So, but in regards to the design of it, it will flow, and I know whether it's the volume of people might require police assistance on special events. So they are aware of those facts and issues, that we do have certain events in the community that draws a lot of people to the community, so, yeah. And they know, like, a lot of it may not even be that access, they look at the other routes where people may come into the territory.
Okay, the Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council accept the verbal report by the Built Environment, Climate Adaptation, Lands and Membership Committee. Chair as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Carrie, second by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 12. Recommendation for information from the Unity Building External Government Relations and Justice Committee. It was moved by Dean Hill and second by Melba Thomas that the Unity Building and External Government Relations and Justice Committee recommends that Six Nations of the Grand River 59th Elected Council accept the Time and Priority Management Workshop, CMC Learning Solution, to support the Mohawk Council of Ganawage, September 4th, 2025, as information. Is that okay? You're still moving that, Melba? Still moving that, Dean? All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, just to address that issue is that was just an invitation from Ganawage. They're just looking at some way of addressing time management and making things work a little bit more efficiently. It's just an open invitation to all the Iroquois nations. And of course, it's not mandatory or anything like that. They just opened it up, and just to see that if anyone is interested, then it would be carried out in Ganawagi, I believe, on September the 4th. So, yeah, it was just an open invitation from them.
Yeah, so it's September 4th, 2026. Okay, let's do the addition. Greg, you have an addition?
Yes, I would just like to inform the community that there were 3 finalists for the National Tourism Awards, and it was put on by National Association of Tourism Operators in Canada. It was done in Ottawa. The 3 finalists was the Dakota Dunes Resort and Casino in Saskatchewan. The second was Wanuskeway. Wanuskeway is a buffalo, I guess, revitalization project in the northern plains of Saskatchewan. Of course, that is a cultural center, hotel, restaurant, meeting area. And of course, it's not on reserve. It's actually affiliated with 6 First Nations in Saskatchewan. And of course, we had our tourism sites as well as the finalists out of several hundred nominees. But we did not win. The winner was Wanuskeway. And Wanuskeway, again, is they had won 2 or 3 times previous. But I do like to congratulate tourism being in the top 3 across Canada, and I think it's going to, as you know, they did win the Ontario Indigenous Tourism Award as well, so it bodes well for the future of tourism and some of the cultural, I would say, sites that we can now promote at 6 Nations. So it's a good feather in their cap. So yeah, congratulations to tourism, to Jackie and her team.
Yes, for sure. Congratulations. Okay, motion to adjourn. Moved by Audrey, second by Dale. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great evening, everyone.